He doesn't remember being upset, but I'm going to tell you.
Okay, so it's Wednesday,
see what's going on behind the
April
screen.
2025. We're playing Star Trek. Pray continue.
Do I pray before we continue?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so now, I thought that what I might start with is, I might start with the history of Nova Terra that got given to you guys at the end of the last session, because...
When did that happen?
We did get a bit of a sort of
During the plot
insight
exposition.
into it, yes.
Oh,
The
okay.
captain interrogated the Keepers of Time in High Dudgeon, and they explained basically the setup of the planet.
Okay, so,
Whoa.
the fractured path, the timekeeper's account of our history. For 3 centuries, our people have walked a path of division, each step leading us further from the unity we once held. The story of our world is one of survival, ingenuity, and folly. Of a people born from the same seed, yet scattered into rival brotherhoods, each clutching its own sliver of knowledge while forgetting the greater whole. We, the keepers of time, preserve the past so that we may one day mend our shattered world. We were never meant to be here. Our ancestors were frozen embryos aboard the Nova Terra, a sleeper ship launched from the Earth during the dying years of the 21st century, a time when humanity was still reeling from the horrors of the eugenics wars. The vessel carried no living crew, only an AI, its directives simple. Find a habitable world, raise the first generations in artificial wombs, and teach them how to build a new home. But fate is cruel. A miscalculation, an unseen hazard, and Nova Terra fell from the stars, crashing onto this world. The AI did what it could. The first generations were raised within the ship's failing systems, their world no larger than its dim corridors. Education was inconsistent, knowledge fragmented. As they emerged into the harsh world beyond, they divided, not by choice, but by necessity. Each group took what knowledge they could salvage and built their own ways of life. Survival breeds specialization. The first settlements arose where conditions allowed, and from them the brotherhoods were born, each guarding its knowledge, each reluctant to share. Disputes over resources and ideology deepened the rifts between them. By the 2nd century, all hopes of a unified world had crumbled. The shadows of the cloud, those who controlled what remains of the AI systems, built towering cities of glass and steam, their knowledge of cybernetics and automation unmatched, but in their wisdom, they became secretive, governing through hidden councils and data streams, withdrawing from the world below. The masters of motion tamed the land itself, forging vast networks of transport across deserts and mountains. They brought order to chaos, yet their rigid syndicates grew indifferent to those who fell outside their structured ways. The sword and shield, born from the ashes of early wars, vowed to bring order through might. Their martial discipline turned them into the planet's enforcers, ensuring stability, but at the cost of freedom. Their camps grew into strongholds, their soldiers into rulers. The Brotherhood of Starships never lost the dream of the sky. Salvaging the few remaining starship technologies from Nova Terra, they became obsessed with reclaiming the stars, pushing science ever forward. Yet their arrogance grew. They deemed only the brightest minds worthy, leaving the common people behind. The Forgers of Light, masters of industry, turned their coastal cities into the planet's great factories. Their guild councils ensured prosperity, but as wealth grew, so did unrest. The workers toiled while the guild masters thrived, and beneath their cities, discontent simmered. The Guild of Fire, keepers of energy, worshipped the power they controlled. Their techno-theocracy brought light to the world, but faith and science do not always walk the same path. Schisms fractured their order, each faction vying for control of dwindling resources. The Bodyguards, masters of life itself, advanced the medical sciences far beyond any other brotherhood. They saw themselves as protectors of the people, yet in their pursuit of bioethics, they restricted freedoms, dictating who should live, how long, and under what conditions. The Watchers of the Sky took a different path. Rejecting conflict, they retreated to high-altitude monasteries, devoting themselves to long-term study and celestial movements. Their wisdom is vast, their vision clear, but their reluctance to act has left them as mere observers in a world that needs leaders. And then there are we, the keepers of time, the last remnants of those who sought to preserve our knowledge, not just pieces of it. We are scattered, our resources limited, but our purpose is clear, to restore what was lost, to reunite what was broken. Now our world stands at the edge of a knife. Each brotherhood thrives in its own way, but none hold the full truth. Technology advances, but so do our divisions. Trade is conducted, but only through wary agreements. The old language of Earth, Esperanto, remains our common tongue,
Yeah.
a relic of a time when unity was still possible. Yet its words carry little meaning when spoken by those who trust only their own. And now the stars have brought something new. A ship unlike any seen in 3 centuries. Outsiders. What will they make of our world? Will they see 9 separate nations or a single lost people? Will they be the key to unity or the spark of further conflict? We, the keepers of time, must ensure the past is known, that the mistakes of history are not repeated. For if we fail, then we are doomed to remain what we have become, 9 fractured brotherhoods, forever clinging to the ruins of our ancestors, while the stars pass us by. But perhaps, just perhaps, the time for change has come. Okay,
9, you said.
9. Now,
I got a bit lost about halfway through.
that's okay. Now, reminder of last session. I realised I didn't create my usual captain's log little thingy. So I'm having to do this. You being down to the planet with the full enchilada, everyone ready to go, and the first thing that happened was you got ambushed.
Yes.
By chaps.
By a group of chaps who were not wearing common uniforms.
They were wearing some kind of symbol, were they not?
They were indeed. Well, they were wearing a few symbols.
Interesting.
You had that symbol, you had that symbol, and you had that symbol.
So this is like a grouping of, it's like some kind of little alliance. I'm assuming each of those are one of the
Brotherhoods. And you had actually worked out which brotherhoods they were.
Yeah. So sword and shield, obviously.
Yep, sword and shield.
Brothers of Fire.
Yes, the
Guild of Fire.
the Forges of Light was what it was called.
Forges of
So
light.
That's Trump. That's Elon.
And
And
that's
that's
the red.
Musk.
That's the red SGs.
And you also had the Shadow of the Cloud.
Shadow of the Cloud. What are they about?
Now, Shadow of the Cloud are about data technology and communications.
Oh, I get the point.
So they're
Big balls and his mom.
Yes, exactly. And because they've got big balls, they've created a great big city. They've got a mega city.
They got a mega city.
That's right.
Oh, did you hear 4chan got hacked?
No, I did not.
Who? Do they know who?
No, you didn't know who. But a whole bunch of 4chan users' details got leaked to the internet, and everyone was like, "Oh no!
What's 4chan again?
4chan losers got doxxed." Sorry.
4chan is one of the dissent boards which
Sewer pits of the internet.
yes, slime bits.
Yeah, I was just going to say it couldn't
Anything-
happen to nicer people, but anyway.
Anything horrible ever happened, it started 4chan.
Okie dokie.
So yeah, being charitable, they're a dissent group who
It's-
love being obnoxious.
It started as like an image board for like
Pedos.
no, before then.
They eventually did go for that.
Everything goes
pedos.
pedo eventually,
The
apparently.
time before pedo.
It was an
The
image
internet.
board. It was for sharing images of like art and stuff, like mostly like comic book stuff, and went pedo pretty fast. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I thought the whole point of it was.
The whole point is it's
Yeah.
just Wild West.
Yeah, because the previous place they were at suddenly got moderated, so they fled.
Well, is 4chan the original, or was there something before 4chan?
Yeah.
There's
I can't remember
8chan
what it
as
was.
well, which is another kind of thing. What was before 4chan?
I can't remember. I just know the story. The story was they were all.
3chan?
No, it was something. It was something like I might have Reddit actually.
No, it was definitely not Reddit. I mean, people kicked off
Okay.
Reddit, probably ended up on 4chan.
Charlie Chan?
Charlie Chan, yes, Mr. Wu. Welcome to my humble abode.
Not that this has anything to do with anything, but Peter's forcing me to look it up because
You really
Where
don't
did
want to look there.
4chan come from?
Yeah, don't do a search with 4chan.
Don't do an image search for certain.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
I'm looking
Meanwhile,
at the
yes, indeed.
Wikipedia of the article.
now you had worked out that the 3 brotherhoods, the characters who attacked you seemed to come from a semi-coordinated squad, but they seem to have evidence of being the brotherhoods, the Sword and Shield, the Sword and Shield's pretty obvious. That's the military
There was
group.
nothing before 4chan.
Can
It
I
was just
can I just make a point that we've
For
actually
Japanese
already
manga.
fermented
Hence, went pedo real fast.
cooperation amongst the nations, so we should just leave. Job well done.
Well, that would be a good thing you could possibly do, were it not for the fact that in the process of doing this, they kidnapped 2 of you guys.
Oh,
Oh my
well,
god,
you know,
what is
you
this,
win
man?
some,
Is
you
this
lose
something,
some.
Hey,
Science officer and
Is he scrap
Yeah.
Science officer and chief security officer, acceptable losses. We'll move on.
some of it's
Yeah.
extra and stuff that I'm just
Oh,
writing. I
okay.
think of it
Oh,
as
yeah, yeah.
it's just regular coin.
Okay, so in order to, so yes, as Ray quite
So neat.
as Ray quite
Isn't that the same?
as Ray quite shrewdly pointed, Mr. Strad, you are disappointed.
Sound like my first wife.
Okay. I wasn't expecting you to go there, and by the way,
Yes.
the fact that I didn't expect that means I probably don't know you as well as I should. But anyway,
Oh, I don't have my character
I
sheet.
participated
I
in
don't
that
know
story,
what it is.
much to my horror.
maybe if you get your character sheets out, guys.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my thing's
can't
there.
reach
I can't
it.
read. We can't
The
reach
one on the
it.
white, one on the black.
Whoa, we can't.
Whoa! They stole our woe!
Alright, thank you.
I want my woe back.
Well, what we're being silly, yes, that is very
That's not
neat
my
writing. Now let's get on with the plot.
That's not my right.
Okay,
Maybe
So-
I should scream my head off like that child.
Oh, sure.
I don't think you could recreate that.
Jono, I've been keeping notes. I know you think I'm not listening, but I've been keeping notes.
good. Okay.
A man and a woman brought a demon, child demon from hell into
So,
Zeus.
this is still yours. Can't believe I got that balance.
Oh no, that's your cheat sheet, so that you know what other
Yeah, no,
people's-
but we've got. But somebody's written this. Is that your writing, John?
No.
Okay, it's not mine.
Improve and overcome arguments are us. Are you starting a franchise, whoever wrote this?
that's Ray's new character. Well, new New aspects of old
Arguments are us.
It's the same character, but he's changed some of the aspects.
It's not mine.
Oh, well then, Ray's not arguments are us.
Yes, I am.
No, yes, he is. I've got the same thing written down on my cheat sheet. We just don't know who's that cheat sheet belongs to.
We're all anti-Ray? Oh, we have to improvise and overcome Ray, whose arguments are us.
No
I
idea.
don't understand.
Nobody understands.
Maybe it's mine. I'm taking it. It's mine.
Especially not me,
I
apparently.
have no idea
Um,
what it is, but it's mine.
It's not yours.
Yes.
All right,
it's
now,
mine.
one important thing. Who's got less than 3 fate points?
No.
Me.
So, how many fate points do you need to bring you up to 3? Because that's your refresh value.
2!
I need 2 as well.
You need 2.
Yes, yes.
2 for you. 2 for you. If you've got 3,
Ah.
sorry, hard luck, you don't get more.
I've got 3.
This is
How many
my
have you
one.
got, Ray?
I've got 3.
3. How many have you got, Peter?
I've got 3.
3. How many have you got?
12.
12. Excellent. Okay, righto.
12.
Well,
12
I've
fate
got
points.
4 here and 3 here, so that's 4.
Oh.
No.
So
You-
I've got 6.
No,
That's
you've
great.
got 4.
No, I've got 6. You've got 6
It doesn't
too.
work like that.
Ah.
What
It
a
doesn't.
pair
It
of
doesn't.
When you start the game,
What
when,
is
when
shit?
you,
Got 2 of them.
perverse idiot.
This one must be yours.
when you start each session, you can't go below 3. Is what I'm saying to you. But if you've got more than,
All right.
if you've got 3 or more, you haven't been
Maybe I'll-
churning them properly.
Heaven,
So,
you've got one.
Okay. All right. Jono, go.
am I allowed to start now?
What do you think?
Okay.
Shut up.
Ace the final frontier.
Shut up.
Okay, I'm shutting up.
No him.
Okay, right.
Finally.
All right. So, you had worked out that these three brotherhoods had contributed people. The people who had done the attack had escaped. Some of them were left behind, incapacitated,
And there's corpses.
and some were as corpses. Unfortunately for you, because they don't tell you a great deal. Especially since your chief science officer got abducted. Chief science officer and your security officer were both taken away and to place unknown, And so you are now in the process of trying to figure out where they might have got to. Now, the physical evidence you have remaining from the actual attack are as follows. You have a small number of items which the monks have identified tentatively as some kind of disruptor dart.
Disruptor dart.
Disruptor dart.
Oh, dart.
Dart.
Oh.
D-A-R-T.
From a little dart gun sort of thing.
As in
Isn't it just
objects-
a tank? Isn't it
objects
just
dart.
a tranquilizer? Tranquilizer?
Yes.
I don't know what a disrupted dart is.
A disruptor dart is something that doesn't generally kill people, but it tends to
It fucks you up.
It incapacitates. That's right.
It's
Now-
just a dart gun.
They've got a vague
They don't
idea.
have the gun because they're idiots.
I said dart gun, not. Oh, never.
They've got it now. The monks aren't exactly weapons experts. You need to understand, but they do have a vague idea that disruptor darts are used by people in the megacity.
They're not weapons experts. What kind of game world is this where monks aren't weapon experts?
They're really good at time.
Hang on, didn't we take down the drone or something, and then we
Yes.
analysed
Yes, you did.
that?
And the drone had had some kind of
Hang on, this
Relay
is
function
not the
protocol.
Street Fighter universe?
no, it's not.
What?
Don't.
It
This
had
is
a
going to be a
relay
long
function
night.
which had
Let's
burnt
move it
out.
on.
I just had my flu vaccine. I'm feeling wheezy.
Okay, so yeah, the monks.
Yeah.
The monks are all very hot for time, but they've got no idea about weapons. But one of them is able to say he thinks those are some sort of disruptor dart, and they might come from the mega city.
Ah, from the mega city.
Yeah,
And
which is run by the Shadow of the Cloud.
Shadow of the Cloud do the mega city, because
Okay.
that makes sense.
Now, as well as that, you've collected a couple of miniature plasma torches
That'll be
that had been modified as weapons.
that'll be the flame guys.
Mm-hmm. And
who are-
whilst they're not really weapons, they're kind of repurposed tools.
Mhm.
They seem to be the sort of things that you get in the
What are they called?
I should
know
know
what
that
they're
by
called.
now.
Just sound. See, by the way, Brotherhood.
Brotherhood, yeah.
Where's all the ladies at?
Oh, there's ladies in the Brotherhoods.
Can we do that?
Forges of the Light, sorry.
Forges of the Light.
Forges of Light. They're the ones who have tools. So, and the other thing you found.
What's a gender neutral form of brotherhood society? I guess.
Yes. Association.
Well, the trouble is it doesn't stay gender neutral.
Mm.
It tends to English tends to drift in a gendered direction.
Sorry,
Other languages
sorry,
don't.
we've collected a couple of what?
You've collected a couple of disruptor darts, a
Disruptor.
couple of miniature plasma torches,
Okay.
and one item which was a bit of a mystery to you, but one of the younger monks, who probably had watched too much TV when he was younger, said that looks like a rail carbine pellet.
A rail carbine.
A rail gun.
Yeah.
Why if you get shot with one of those, you're dead.
That's the purpose of guns.
Yes, but these ones seem to sting but not actually kill. So
So shoot
A
Nerf.
rail? You mean
And
it's
shoot
like a-
Nerf bullets
That's
at
ridiculous.
supersonic speed.
That's ridiculous.
trust the process, Peter.
Here's my atomic bazooka. Boom! Ow! Don't do that again.
You can actually have a low velocity railgun.
Yeah, it's easy. In fact,
But it sounds
In fact, the
like-
problem with railguns is it's very much easier to do a low
It sounds
velocity railgun than a
ridiculous.
high velocity one.
I don't know anything much about
Unless you're
railguns, so I'm
setting
ready
out
to go
not
with
to
it.
kill people.
But wouldn't a low-tech solution be easier to do?
Yes, but it wouldn't give you as much evidence about who might have been responsible.
Yes. Plot.
So who's the railgun people? That would be the third
Winchester would tell me it was American.
brotherhood that we haven't mentioned as of yet. So we got fiery guys, we got tech guys, and the sword and shield guys.
Sword and shield guys, that's the one.
See, I did that by mere association.
Okay, so the last
Elimination.
thing you do before you make the decision as to where you're going to go and when is you do a little bit of a parade around the area to try and find what evidence you can spot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I would like everybody to take a notice roll.
So for us who have been abducted, do we have a third character?
You cannot notice anything.
Yes, you should have a generic science ensign.
I've got a natural blank, and that
that would be-
takes me up to
I'm
one.
assuming that's this guy. Okay.
We roll all four, don't we?
Yeah, that's yours.
Yeah,
So
I
it
think-
should look
I think I got him.
it should look like this with very few skills.
Yeah, I think I got him.
And but
I stuffed up as you.
for the sake of fun, you are more than welcome to create an aspect and actually turn this into a person.
Notices everything all the time.
Okay, so
I win.
5, Jono.
okie dokie. So, what did you score? What was your notice?
Oh Jesus! It was 1.
Okay, 1. Take 1 of those. Okay, you got 5. Take 2 of those.
Yep.
How'd you go?
-3.
Okay, roll the die. A single.
Oh, so if you
Take
suck,
one.
you get to get a re.
Okay, what did you get?
I got a total of 3.
3. You can take 2.
Okay. Oops,
What up?
Sorry. That is way too many.
You got 1. Take 1.
Gee.
What about I cheated?
And Captain, what did you get?
That's my reroll.
I cheated.
Okay, righto.
-3.
You didn't. These guys had all scouted all out, so there was nothing left by the time that you did. Okay,
You suck.
righto.
That's
Very
true.
Can't talk to
So-
a captain like that.
Good numbers.
Oh, he's still the captain, but I'm not me. I'm this guy.
Well, that's because you got captured.
He's clearly belligerent. Look at that face.
Well, this is a security incident. So, what number did you have on your little token thingy?
Roman 2 or 11 or some
11.
other weird symbol because there's a dot on it as well for some reason.
Okay. What did you get? You got
1
1
and
and
9.
9.
1 and 9.
Now, okay, what did you get?
These will be important later. Hang on.
I'll take that. 6.
This piece of random equipment is your life.
The fact that it's random probably tells you it's not going to.
No, I'm not sharing mine with anyone. You can't know
Okay, what
it
have you
is
got?
or see it.
12 and a 4.
It's precious
12.
to me that I buy it at great
You guys are an
price.
arsehole. We're going to make sure he ends
Look,
up dead.
look at his face. Of course he's an asshole.
Well, he is a security guy. I mean, you know. What have you got, Ray?
10.
Look at
I
mine.
have a skill
My
of 2
science
in
officer.
everything. I'm useless.
Look at
Okay.
the haircut.
It's beautiful.
And I tell you what, Captain, you spotted one thing, so just take one item from there.
She's got quite the forehead. I'll say that about her.
Okie dokie. Now,
She's got a forehead.
I warned you about this.
What about foreheads?
You know.
rubber four-headed aliens. Okay. Now, the item that you have picked up is something which is, well, item or items are things which has been left behind in the raid. You don't really know what the significance are of these things. You know they were things left behind by the guys who were actually involved in the raid.
Yep.
That's about all you know about it. And the monks, they've got very little idea about what they are. They might be able, so for example, if there's any markings on them, they might be able to tell you whether it's a script or numbers or something like that. They might be able to interpret the national flags on things, but other than that, they pretty much don't have much idea.
So this culture does not use the Roman alphabet or the Arabic numeric.
For whatever reason, they don't do that anymore.
They probably reinvented their own version.
They reinvented their own version. Okay, so
Random crap.
can I just have people tell me what their item was?
Miniature calibrator wrench.
Okay,
I
What?
assume miniature calibrator
Miniature.
wrench.
So-
It doesn't look anything like a miniature adjustable spanner.
A Calibrator wrench.
Yes.
Sounds sciencey.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what have you got, Thalmec?
Burnt tag
Mm-hmm.
and a smudged worker's chit.
Oh, gee, I'll swap you.
A worker's chit.
I was saying this very carefully.
Smudgy one.
I noticed you saying it very carefully.
Yes,
As if
go
I
ahead.
mispronounced anything.
What have you got, Dave?
An antenna fragment.
An antenna fragment. Okay, good.
Presumably like a wired
Mhm.
antenna, not antenna of an insect.
Yep. What have you got, Saxon?
There is a hem patch strip.
Mm-hmm.
A
And
what?
a hem
You know,
patch
that's a
strip. and
really
that's one
exotic
word I
thing.
have no idea what that is.
I have no idea
okay,
what a hem patch is.
the monks tell you a little bit about that. They tell you that that's a thing that gets used for healing injuries, probably used by the military.
Ah,
And the second one
Band-Aid.
is a
Safe
coal
for getting
soot
high.
charm coin.
Oh.
coal soot.
Charm coin.
The monks tell you it's basically a trinket.
Mm-hmm.
He has no idea who'd have it. Okay, Ray, what have you found?
A welded pipe core sample.
Okay.
Who the hell carries this crap when they try to
A
kidnap them?
What?
Welded pipe core sample.
Oh, core sample.
Mhm.
I know those. I know I always carry core
What have you happened to find, Captain?
8 signal loopback tags.
Sorry, say that again.
8 signal loopback tags.
Oh, it's a signal loopback tag. Yes. Okay. Right.
The 8's just an identifier, dude.
Oh,
Yeah, that's all good.
So
Um,
it counts.
This is one.
The monks try to describe to you what it is. They have a bit of trouble describing it, but eventually you're able to work out that what it is it's a tag thingy that allows you when you go somewhere to
It's a security tag.
security tag. That's right.
Oh, we better not throw that away. That might actually be useful for something.
Okay.
Weirdly enough, these could all be useful for something.
Okay. Most of these are items which are damaged or burned or whatever, but they are things which might give you some ideas.
Did they
Put
get
them
damaged?
together.
Did they get damaged
What
in the
have you got?
fight? Because I don't recall anybody shooting anyone.
Didn't we?
It was all hand to hand as far as I
No, it was mostly shooting actually.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
If we put them all together, we could almost build whole Stormtrooper.
Okay.
What?
Remember that guy?
Stormtrooper.
Build a stormtrooper.
Yeah, remember?
Now that's an
What's the
unusual.
Honda bar? What the hell are you on?
big snowman.
This is the word.
No, that's Star Wars episode where like we found the pieces of the Stormtrooper
Oh.
and your little guy was like, build whole Stormtrooper!
Build whole Stormtrooper.
So I was thinking with all this stuff, like build whole Stormtrooper!
Because
Elder
He got so excited.
He thought stormtroopers were made out of bits.
Elder Corvus and Keeper Varin, Elder Corvus is the abbot of the monastery, and Keeper Varin is his assistant.
Yep.
And they have come down to talk to you because they feel to a certain extent responsible for your predicament, and they understand that you need to go and find your fellow crew members, and they've decided that they're going to help you in whatever way they can. But Elder Corvus does warn you that we, and in the Keepers of Time, keep to ourselves. And whilst we do have contact with the other brotherhoods, we know relatively little about them, except the general conditions of where they are and their leaders.
Right.
So, you have worked out that the three places which seem to be involved in this attack are Sword and Shield, the Forges of Light, and the Shadow of the Cloud. The question you must ask and answer to yourself is, which ones, if any, are you going to visit? So, have a discussion amongst yourselves. Perhaps the items that you have found may give you some kind of a clue.
Was Guild of Fire one of them or no?
No, Guild of Fire was not one of them.
Forges of Light. Shadow
Forges of Light That's industrial technology.
Shadow of the Cloud.
Shadow of the Cloud, that's
And the
data
third
and
one?
communications. And the Sword and Shield, which is military
Sword.
technology.
Okay, I haven't got that one written down.
I feel like we should go for the industrial technology one,
Why?
because we seem to have a lot of industrial technology bits.
Okay.
There's
What
always freezes.
What exactly do you think we're going to ask them about?
Yeah, but of those three,
Yeah, of those three. Yes,
I would think flame torch skills.
I don't know. What's our plan here?
What's forehead girls high concept? And don't say forehead girl.
She's got the forehead.
She looks confident. I'm going with confident.
Clearly,
I've got
Think
one
it
word.
through.
clearly her Neolithic brain.
She's got the confidence that my character does not.
It is
The
a good-
confidence that a high forehead brings you.
Okay, right. Yeah. Sword and shield. Let's
do it.
Yeah.
It is a good question. How are we going to approach this? At this point,
Let's just turn up.
we've got
What's
basically
good
the
Oh,
sense?
yeah,
option
it's
of
work for us all
infiltration,
the time,
find
yeah.
out stuff, or simply rock up and say, "Hi, this happened. We'd like to try and track down where our crew members have gone."
Oh, okay.
Which of these two do we want to do?
Bring out our buddies or
Just a
we'll
bit.
set fire to the door.
Suddenly, like 2 of the crew members got abducted. I tried straight away to call it Tamworth
Mhm.
to get them to trace the transporter van because they're looking at it. No, completely blocked off from the transport. Something
It was no, he did trace it, but it traced back to the drone.
Oh, the drone. Yeah, something was, and clearly they hadn't gone up into the drone. So
Do we have the drone? Or did the
You
drone
have the wreckage of the
We have the
drone,
wreckage
Oh,
of the drone.
but it blew itself up before.
I
you-
might in fact have an antenna fragment from the drone.
So we did try and get them back. Well, I did try and get them
That sort of embellishment is something I love. Go for it. Okay.
Oh, I'm
that's
going to
the
write that in. From
Yes.
the drone.
That-
back. I'm telling you that we
Sid.
tried. I tried some things.
My science officer says it with confidence, therefore everyone believes it to be true.
Okay. Yep.
Now,
So
considering that we have transporters, we should be able to, in theory, trace the comm badges of the 2 missing members.
Which is what we tried.
What is actually presumably blocking that?
the Tamworth crew scan the place, and they don't. They can get enough if they put it to really high power. They can get enough of a signal that they can more or less confirm that the transporter badges are still on planet,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't give you any kind of directionality to it.
Okay.
And also, both Mbuzi and Lomax's transporter badges are deactivated at the moment.
Ah, interesting. Now,
This would not be a problem if they were able to access them, because a simple tap on the badge reactivates it. But the fact that they are not active at the moment seems to indicate that they.
I hope so.
I can't make it.
I
that
will
easy
make
for
the
you.
observation that the fact that even the deactivated comm badges cannot be detected suggests either a really improbable coincidence of some form of natural radiation, negative space wedgie, whatever is blocking it, or far more likely that they have been deliberately disabled and we're basically facing a hostile force.
Yes, that man's correct.
A very confident statement from the security officer.
Who's no longer here? I thought you.
No.
This is this
It's
guy.
an inside.
Oh,
Security
There's
incident.
the security incident.
Don't worry. I'm not going to leave anybody without a character. If
Yes, ensign belligerent. Yes.
Ensign
No,
Belligerent.
Alvan Corrector.
Alvin
Okay.
Corrector. Okay, righto. Ensign Corrector is very strongly believes we are looking at a hostile situation.
That would then
Thank God
affect
we've got
how
you.
we should probably go about.
Thank you.
Oh,
Go
God.
about trying to
He's also dead.
communicate with the.
Mine is now
Whichever
called
group we're gonna go
Militiant Hybrid.
Elder Corvos at this point says the brotherhoods on this planet are mistrustful and secretive, but I do not believe they are actually hostile.
Race, human,
Interesting.
Are you
question mark.
sure? Yeah, you're not. Okay. That makes sense.
That would suggest we might be able to approach them openly then.
Maybe she's one of the Andorran chicks I've heard about. Oh yeah,
Ensign, pay attention, please.
Andorran.
We must also consider the possibility that if we arrived and they turned up to attack almost immediately, they were either somehow aware of our presence, which seems unlikely since our probe went specifically to here, and as far as I remember, nowhere else, or they were actually attacking the Keepers of Time and we simply got in the way purely by coincidence. What sort of security measures are the Keepers of Time going to take for themselves?
The Elder Corvos looks at you and says with a sort of mystical tone, "It has all happened as it should."
God wills it.
Deus vult. Indeed. Okay. But,
I
so
was
he...
going for inshallah, but that's also works.
Okay.
I find your fatalism somewhat disconcerting.
Many do, which is why they don't like being members of the Keepers of Time. Meanwhile, Elder Corvos says, depending on how you wish to approach these, whichever brotherhood you visit, there are a number of ways you can get there. We do have contact with all three of these brotherhoods.
Very well.
Firstly, the movers still maintain a maglev rail system. It is there. It can access any of these places. You will be known that you're coming because this is not secret. It's hidden from orbit, but it's still known by all the brotherhoods. So if you go there, you are not being covert. So if you wish to go openly, that is a way you could go. It was originally designed for planetary logistics, but due to the shifting territorial disputes, it's become less useful. But it still connects key locations, including the three brotherhoods. We also have some modified ground transports for supply deliveries. You could camouflage one of those. They do. We use some holographic shielding, which is a mix of shadow of the cloud encryption and forges of light material science. We do have a network of way stations, safe houses. If you wish to go covertly, that is a way that you could go. Or there are some smugglers who will routinely go and visit those places. If you wish, we would be happy to bribe them on your behalf. So, recapping, you can go by the rail tunnels, by camouflage cargo vehicle, by way station safe houses, or smuggler routes with bribes.
So, 1 overt and 3 covert methodologies. Which do we want, and of course, to which of the brotherhoods do we wish to go?
I thought Ray already
Yes,
decided.
Ray
we were
already
going to
decided.
The sword and shield.
Okay.
Sword and shield.
The captain has made a
I'm
decision.
getting a little bit overwhelmed by all this. Fine, we're going to the sword and the shield. Do we wish to go overtly or covertly?
Let's go
Well, supposedly we're
overly.
going to be.
Let's go overly. They must all
Over
know.
COVID.
They must all know we're coming.
Okay.
Because anything else just
Yeah,
complicates
just
things. And, yeah.
We don't even know where we're sneaking to,
No.
other than their general direction.
Okay.
Okay.
Unless we, I don't know, go into town dressed as...
Just burst in
Beggars.
unannounced and start demanding things. That always works.
It does eventually.
In that case, should we change back into
But
our
first you
stuff
get locked up.
uniforms?
No, we already have. We
You already have? Okay, good.
We reckoned that because it wasn't.
It was.
They already knew we were coming.
Because much as I was enjoying you guys crossing purposes, I did point out.
Then you realise. Then you decide that some guy you've been locked up with is the Lost Kingdom Southlands.
Oh, go away. Go away. Go away.
Okay, so you were going to
Go away.
you're going to the sword and shield.
I believe so.
Okay, so
Lost heirlooms. Go away.
now, just so you know,
Shouldn't the captain be making these decisions?
Yes, he should.
okay,
Go away.
would the captain can get a bit of an idea about what's going on. This is information that you know, but you can disseminate to the party such as you wish. Okay. Corvo's treating you as the captain, so he's giving you the information. It's up to you what to do.
He's treating you as the captain.
So,
I got promoted to captain once from captain.
the nearest
I'm
and
captain.
the nearest and most important outpost of the Sword and Shield is Tarkel Hold. Tarkel Hold clings to the edge of the world, high in the basalt cliffs where even the wind forgets its name. This is Elder Corvo speaking, by the way. It is older than the Schism, older than the Brotherhoods themselves, etched into the bones of the mountains like a warning. Its towers are squat and unadorned, its gates as thick as silence. There everything has weight, every word, every oath, and every stare. The people of the Hold don't waste time explaining themselves. They speak through actions, through posture, through trial.
Oh God.
Outsiders are rare, tolerated, but not understood. To be welcomed here is to be tested first, respected later, if at all. Expect no warmth. What you find instead is resilience, raw, tempered, and unflinching. It is not comfort that lives in Tarkel Hold, but resolve.
Which place are we visiting again?
This is the Sword and Shield.
I thought we were going to the electronic place.
No.
Oh,
I just
okay.
said the
Sword and
industrial technology place.
This is the industrial technology.
No, this is the Sword and Shield. Sorry.
Well, I thought we were going to the industrial
Oh,
technology
let's-
place,
let's
which
just-
is these guys.
Okay.
Let's
Pause.
just go to the Sword and Shield people.
No,
No.
let's go where we decided to go.
Well, I thought we decided to.
Everyone said Sword and Shield, so I thought we decided that.
I
one.
didn't say.
I didn't know.
That's not what I heard.
Because I thought that's what.
But that's not what Ray said.
I thought we were going with the flame guys, which are the other
Well,
guys.
that's a different bunch of. Okay.
Oh, that's a front
Do we
page.
want to go to the belligerent arseholes who disrespect everybody? Do we want to go to the people who play with thermal flasks?
No.
Or do we want to go to Techland?
I know you want to go to Tech.
I want to go to Techland, so does Ray.
Yes, Techland.
Techland. Captain made the decision.
Techland.
Okay.
Everyone to Techland.
By the way,
Was
I
that
am.
mutiny?
This is not what I've just told you is not a problem because Elder Corvo is telling you this about the three places.
Yeah.
So I'm going to each time we get to a place, I'm going to read out what he's told you there, just as a way of so that you don't forget
Could
it.
you tell us all this first before we make our decisions?
In general terms, he did.
Okay, well I'm happy to do that. It's just a lot of exposition. That's all.
Techland.
Techland. We're just going to Techland.
Okay, are we going to Techland or are we going to? When we say
What's-
Techland,
what's
do we mean communications and computers or do we mean industrial?
Yeah, exactly.
Industrial.
It's not clear, but Peter means the cloud guys.
Okay, Shadow of the Cloud.
Yes.
Shadow of the Cloud.
Shadow of the Cloud.
Legacy
What are
with
these
their
things?
specialisation in
Hang on.
computers.
Is Shadow of the Cloud the industrial one?
No, the industrial one
Right.
is.
The one that we originally
Is that
made.
Yes,
the
is
that
the
I
one we originally agreed to was
was the
that one.
industrial
Okay,
one.
that one.
Okay, industrial
one.
one. That is Forges of
I
Light.
know it wasn't just me.
But
I'm
he's
sure-
sending us to this one.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
Okay, right.
Forges of Light.
So, guys, can I have
Forges of
everybody's
Light.
attention? Forges of Light, the ones who do industrial stuff. Is that where we're going?
That,
Are we
which is-
clear?
These
which is
guys.
who I thought we'd agreed on
Okay.
some time ago.
That is just so fine.
Yes.
Okay, righto. So, the Steel Coast, where the earth bleeds light. Elder Corvo says, the Steel Coast never sleeps. Its sky is orange even at midnight, its ground trembling with the rhythm of endless labour. Heat clings to everything. Metal, air, breath. It was never meant to be a city. It became one. Out of scrap and ambition, structures are layered atop each other like geological strata. Half-built, repurposed, alive with motion. Trade here is constant but never casual. Every deal sparks a dozen more. Every favour binds someone else. No one is idle, not by choice, not for long. This is a place where ideas are forged into tools and tools into empires. But nothing is free. Not trust, not power, not even truth. If you walk the Steel Coast, bring purpose, or be melted down and poured into someone else's plans.
Welcome to Dickhead Land, Mark Free.
Elon Muskville.
Oh, they're all Elon Muskville. I assume that's Elon Muskville. That's Bezos.
So, would you like to know about the leader of the
Yes.
Steel Coast?
Yes.
Okay.
Sauron.
The leader.
You will find Mirren Voss
Very nice.
surrounded by warmth, by golden light,
Fuck that arsehole.
by loyal workers.
Oh wow.
Exactly.
Jeez, Peter, you're...
What? You typed the arsehole into an AI program and got a dickhead. Why
Need to turn your emotions down just a bit, Pete.
Look at that guy.
I'm not reacting quite as viscerally as Peter.
Okay. You will find Mirren Voss surrounded by warmth, by
He's got a
golden light.
giant sign on the skyline saying CEO.
Yeah, that's because of AI, maybe.
This podcast recording has adult rating.
You will find Mirren Voss surrounded by warmth, by golden light, by loyal workers, by machines that respond to him as if he were kin.
Shoot him through his money and toss him out the window.
You shut.
He will greet you like a friend. He will pour you a drink himself, tell you stories from before the Brotherhood's fractured. He will seem to trust you immediately. But know this. No forge burns without fuel, and Voss will measure you from the moment you speak, calculating what you are worth. Not in friendship, but in function. He is a builder, a dreamer, a maker of futures, but his light does not come from the stars, it comes from fire, and fire consumes. He believes in strength, in contribution, in power earned and traded. He will offer generosity, but never without return. If you wish to gain his respect, bring something to the table. Resources, leverage. The forgers respect ideas, resources, leverage. The forgers respect those who can shape raw chaos into order. But beware, to those who offer nothing, Voss offers nothing back. Not cruelty, not wrath, just absence. The monk lets the final word hang in the air like a cooling ember. He's not cruel. He simply does not believe in sentiment where industry is concerned, and in his world, value is the only language that survives the fire. Now, because you guys chose to use the monorail to get there, you have this
hang on,
aspect.
Can I ask this guy before we head off? Because
Yes.
obviously we need to bring this guy something.
Yes.
I have a fragment of an antenna.
No, he doesn't want that shit.
Oh, but we have an adjustable spanner.
Hang on, so who's delivering us this information? Like the spare on the three?
The Abbot.
Or the abbot?
Yes, the abbot. Yeah.
Alright, so
We
I asked
clearly
you.
have stuff to offer him. We have technology he doesn't have.
Well, let's fucking bring something rather than just like, are we going to be able to beam something down on the spot? Are we?
Maybe.
Or are we going to be blocked?
By the way,
That's a good question.
We have
The-
ships
the-
with
the-
replicators. We can
the ship
do
is
literally anything.
at the moment there doesn't seem to be any problem with beaming things.
Exactly. So why don't we bring it, like, get it now rather than we get into this place where they've blocked everything and
Yeah, I love it.
suddenly, you know.
I love it.
Alright, so I talked to the abbot. What do we think this guy would most, like, what could we offer him? What's he after?
Lions.
What's his end game?
Lions and
Power.
Something that Voss would really be quite excited about would be some kind of technology that he or his factories might be able to reverse engineer.
You shouldn't give him replicators.
Yeah, certainly, Captain. Doesn't that break the Prime Directive?
Yes.
The level of technology here is
Yeah, they're
A little bit higher than
they're
21st
Sorry,
century.
They're contact
Captain.
level.
Doesn't this break your Prime Directive?
Yes.
So I could give him something.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Hang
Get
on.
around that.
What are you giving him?
I don't know.
a widget.
Well, it
Oh,
doesn't.
we-
probably
one of
doesn't
those
break
little-
my Prime
One of those
Directive,
wheelie things you do the thing
but it
with
might break
the
your Prime
finger
Directive.
with.
We probably need some sort of
Transparent
mineral,
aluminium.
or there must be something
Ooh.
that they particularly need to do the work they do. Why don't we just get a lump of that and say, well, where that came from?
We have lump.
Like, he needs gold from there.
Transparent
Probably more.
aluminum.
It's transparent aluminum.
Yeah, pretty easy. That.
How do we know he
Give it to
didn't
everybody.
invent it?
What's that stuff in bloody Atlas Shrugged that they made a train tax out of?
Does the abbot have any idea what he might?
The abbot is looking somewhat impressed by your discussions of transparent
I
aluminium.
know waste time.
I
I
know.
remember that.
Transparent aluminium does sound like something that he might find interesting. I don't know, but I'm not an industrialist. But That does sound like a useful thing.
It's on a
Obviously,
disk of
something
it.
something that we know is like 22nd century technology or better. Probably not much better. Better than we think they have now. This is
But not
Melissa.
so advanced.
This
that
is
they-
Melissa highbrow speaking with confidence.
Again, I don't think we
Um,
should give them technology though. Can't we offer them something
But it
like
seems like he wants tech.
a?
He wants
Oh.
tech to.
Yeah,
Well,
but
no,
he
no,
builds stuff, so he must
but
have
the,
a need for things.
The abbot assures you that small amounts of high value material could also be
So
valuable.
there's probably something which they don't have much of, which we can go. And
Look,
there's a
something,
pile of it
something like sorry, as stupid as it sounds, because it was a joke, but transparent aluminium is not that far beyond their technology.
Yes.
And how do we know he didn't invent it anyway? And if we're worried about him getting an unfair advantage over all those things, we can beam the formula to everybody on the planet as soon as we're finished.
Yeah, but they might not have the
They
tech.
may not have the tech to make
because
it.
these are the tech guys.
Yeah.
We could equally give.
But we could just give everyone else
Right.
something else.
Yes.
Thermonuclear bomb.
That evens it all.
That would be
But once again,
ICBMs.
this seems to be really pushing the Prime Directive in a direction where
Well, yeah, but these people
Starfleet might.
Unstoppable
these people
space
have,
lasers.
Have warp drive.
have warp drive, so the prime.
Oh,
This
okay.
is a first contact scenario, not a prime directive scenario.
Yes, there is a bit of grey area here because Prime Directive says don't contact a pre-warp civilization and give them technology, but it's less clear on what to do when they actually do have warp
And
drive.
these ones are actually from Earth, so
Okay.
Okay, the question that occurs to Navis is what sort of projects, singular or plural, are these technologists actually working on at the moment, or are they generalists working on multiple things at the same time?
The elder just nods and says, most of the time, any manufactured goods come from there.
Oh, okay.
Most of the manufactured goods, apart from those involving computers and things, come from
Computers.
there. Computers, they come
They
from
come from cloud guys.
the shadow of the
Shadow
cloud.
cloud, yes.
But most manufactured goods come from there. And even if it was not being used by people from there, I would say that those plasma torches come from there. Okay, so when you come to Voss, you need to offer him something invaluable, which you're already doing so, which is good.
So we're landing on transparent aluminium. Is that what we're doing?
I don't know. Let's see. Let's talk to him.
Yeah, let's see what
Let's
he
talk to him.
I
wants.
think we could sit and discuss it for hours, and I don't think
Let's-
it matters. We just have to offer him something.
Yeah, because you know what'll happen if we sit and we roundtable this for the next 45 minutes. We'll walk into a room with him and he'll go, "I want blah blah blah," and we'll go, "Why the fuck did we discuss
He'll
this
have
for
a
the last
desk-
45
he'll have
minutes?"
a
He'll have a
fucking-
thing in mind
He'll
that he
have a
wants.
desk made out of transparent aluminum the second
Exactly.
you enter the office. So it's like, let's just go there.
Okay.
Or
All right.
Just hand over a business card made of transparent aluminium.
Aluminum.
Yes, I like it.
That's
While
good.
drinking from
That's
his transparent aluminum mug.
Transparent aluminum
The
business
entire
card.
city's made of the stuff.
The Federation. We use
In danger of extending this conversation beyond the point where we've decided we don't need to extend it any further,
Well, we've already gone there.
How
Absolutely.
unlike us.
I shall continue to do so.
I do have a suggestion,
Time
Go
to get
ahead.
on the bandwagon.
which is, presumably my science officer could do something like a quick analysis of geological diversity on this planet and work out what particular minerals are especially rare on this planet.
Okay. Well, iron and aluminium are common, although it is worth mentioning every glass transparency you have seen so far is either glass or silicate of some form.
Think we're landing on
So there does not appear to be any evidence of transparent aluminium.
Right, so maybe
As
that's
far
good.
as you can tell,
Maybe
that
that's
does
what
not
we
appear to be a
anyway.
thing that's there.
Yeah, so all I was thinking about is
Um,
what
Have we
is a
seen any
rare and
gold?
therefore valuable mineral?
There is when the probe was destroyed,
Yeah.
the electronics of the probe did have signs of gold on it, like you would expect from earthbound electronics.
So they do have gold.
And basically, when you scan the planet, you find that, broadly speaking, allowing for small differences in abundance, you find it to be fairly Earth-like.
Yep, fair enough. Okay.
Okay, so
Found it up.
for all practical purposes, you expect the same sorts of
Right.
things on the planet that you
Okay,
expect on
I will not further delay
Earth. Okay.
proceedings.
All right. So who's going to go in and meet with Voss?
All of us.
All of us.
All of us? Okay. So you all go bowling into his office.
Melissa
screen
gives an aura of confidence.
Okay. Well, you arrive there, and because you used the local transport system,
Yes.
you are immediately known by people.
Mm-hmm.
So a few people have got to know you, which means that you've got a bit of favour from the locals.
Outsiders.
Oh goodness.
The outsiders seem to be pretty cool people.
Damn right, we're cool.
Okay, so there's a bit of buzz in the air. The people who've met you.
Sorry, point of order. Before we go in, we computer scan, like 3D, everything, the pieces of clues we've got.
Mm-hmm.
And then we
Yeah.
take the clues with us.
Yes.
3D scan, you know, like those molecular ones that you
Right.
can
So you
recreate time.
can recreate it if you need to do that.
Yes.
Yes, I'm allowing that. Everything you've done has been analysed to the nth degree. If you needed to, you could replicate them. None of them have got anything on them that's particularly hard to
replicate them with fingerprints and things like
with
that.
fingerprints if necessary.
And-
Though I'm not going to
and-
make that
and-
necessary.
And electronic eddy currents and things.
Okay.
I would say that if we've actually been talking with people in transit, we actually use the opportunity to subtly milk them for what the situation is like there, get people talking, seem interested because people
Mhm.
like talking about the things.
That's an excellent idea.
And if necessary, I shall use my social.
Because you are a citizen of the world, a citizen of the universe, you are compelled to do that. In fact, you are compelled to talk with the locals,
Yeah.
and you are going to get a very, very quick impression
Mm-hmm.
of what things are like. Now, what you do find is that nearly everybody you talk to on the transport
Yeah.
is either one of the monks you've already met,
Mm-hmm.
or as you go along the path, you pick up quite a lot of people from the
Reader cities,
cities.
yes.
Cities.
We're on like the metro.
Okay. Yep. And what you find is that the people there are fairly open. They're not particularly closed. But there is one little quirk that you see, and that is that when they have discussions with each other, they do tend to have a very rigid rule of one person shares something and another person shares something else, which is seemingly of roughly equivalent value.
Okay, so reciprocity.
Very strong reciprocity. The other thing that you notice is that when they talk about their lives, they talk almost exclusively of work. When you talk to them about any kind of recreation, they acknowledge that it exists, but sort of wave it off as though it's unimportant.
They're all hardcore, man.
Work is everything to these people.
Hardcore. Sleep at work.
Okay.
Okay, so you have arrived on the Steel Coast, and because you have asked to meet with Merrin Voss, you are escorted into a high rise, and where you are, you can see there's a magnificent picture window. You are in the waiting room, while the boss's secretary, who is a human but with some modest cybernetic enhancements, goes in to talk to Merrin Voss. And while you are waiting for her to talk to you, you look out of the window. The image that you see is kind of like out of Dante's Inferno. There is volcanic activity on the horizon, but closer in you can see foundries and factories as far as the eye can see. The atmosphere is blackened with pollution.
Yeah, this is like the worst place ever.
They're all going to be the worst place ever.
It's what's it? Harkonnen. What's the planet called?
DD Prime, yes.
Gigi Prime, yeah.
Well, I was thinking of kind of a volcanic version of LA from Blade Runner.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
No, it's
that'd be
not.
the
That's
other place.
that. The LA from Blade Runner is probably closer to the Shadows of the Cloud.
Yes.
Mixing
Okay.
some of the industrial areas from Coruscant, and yeah.
So you are within a few minutes, the team is escorted into Merrin Voss's office. You meet this steel-hearted executive with a lethal smile. He awaits. His office is adorned with mechanical relics and draped in oil slick luxury. As the elder suggested, he pours you each a drink from his own hand and hands it to you, and cheerfully toasts to the future, and regales you with a few simple stories of his childhood.
And pause. Now, who is going to be the talking for the group? Nominally, it should be the captain. Irvin, do you feel up to this, or do you want to delegate it to somebody else?
I want Screaming to do it.
Who's got the best diplomacy?
No. I mean, what player do you want to be acting as captain as the front?
What?
No, he's asking you. Does the captain want to take point, or does the captain want to give somebody else point?
Who's
and
got the
pretend
best
they're the-
diplomacy?
Take points.
No, I'll take point.
Okay.
I shouldn't say.
Very
Do you want to do it?
No, it's alright.
Do a bit of graph of what's going on.
No.
We'll just advise you, Captain.
Yeah, it's going to look rather bad in Voss's eyes if you've got a bunch of squabbling people throwing ideas
Where-
at the
Alright.
nominal captain.
Where-
So we'll tell some childhood stories.
Okay.
Returned or whatever he said. And then, what do we want?
Where are the
And,
skies that
and
don't
also
ask
what-
any-
what do we
remember,
want?
remember, like that you tell him something important, and then he will tell us something important.
So that's what
Well, we
that's
want
what he just said.
something else.
He tells some very carefully
told childhood
calculated
stories.
childhood stories.
Oh,
So
okay.
we tell
Right.
them back.
Alright.
But what do we want exactly?
If he has any
Trying to
information on
find
these,
out.
Where
people.
our people are.
Alright. So basically, we
Baron
want to
Voss.
find out what that's worth to, like what that information is worth to. I assume a culture that is give and take can give us some idea of what the value of what they're giving us is.
Transparent element.
But with that,
Merrin Voss looks at you after you've told him the childhood stories, smiles approvingly, and said, "Considering that you are Outlanders, you have been most efficiently briefed on our ways. Since you have been so efficiently briefed, I do not believe there is any need for us to waste time on pleasantries.
cool.
I believe if you've been told about our ways, you should be well aware that the way that we do conduct business in this place is that we offer something of value in return for something of value. What do you have that you can offer us?"
What depends on how valuable the stuff is that we want.
That is indeed the case.
So
What are some...
if we tell you what we want, you can tell us how much value that is in there.
Urban, we have technology, resources, and trade agreements.
Well, hang on, no, he's just asked a very good question. He said, "We will tell you what we want, and you tell us what's..."
Yeah, what's your equivalent?
What's the
Yes.
what's the value of that?
Indeed, that is a sensible approach.
Yes, in the fridge.
What kind of girdle splash?
Well done,
Zero
sir.
Coke.
So what do we want?
What is it that you wish?
We want to know the location.
of our people.
At this point, Merrin Voss...
No, we don't.
We don't assume this guy knows where our people are.
No.
We assume that he might know something about the people that took him.
Or how to find them.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise we're basically saying more or less that he's stolen our people, which is not true. There's a
Well, we
Yes.
which is probably not true. There is a cable of there is a conspiracy within these three
Yes,
societies.
there's three dudes who've gotten
Or
together.
there is
and
three
crazy.
people, three groups of people, or even some unknown group of people, number of groups of people who are pretending to be those three groups of people.
Essentially, we should dangle future benefits.
What are you selling?
Because
for?
essentially, what all he can give us is something that will benefit us in the future. So what we should give him is something that will benefit him in the future, potentially in the same manner.
Or
Go on, what's that thing?
Well, like if we resolve our problems, this will enable the Federation to establish relations with your world
There you go.
and trade and
Technology
transfer.
But are we telling him what we want?
I hope we are telling them what he.
So what do you actually want?
Well, should we tell them about that we know these three factions?
Yes, we've lost 2 people. Yeah, we should
But we
tell
know
them
that
this.
these three
So
factions
this
have been
is what I
involved.
said. We tell him what we want. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but they've been involved. Let's try and sell it maybe as a misunderstanding. We believe they've been accidentally taken. There's been a
By-
miscommunication somewhere.
by-
We're trying to resolve.
By a possible renegade group making up of several members of your world society.
So that way we don't insult this guy, but
Yeah.
we let him know that.
But why would they
we
insult
know.
him, telling him what we want?
The
Well,
broader
like what Ray
context-
said, it might imply that we think he is
We-
guilty of
we
this.
tell him
Why would that imply?
We just tell him in a way where in no way, shape or form could it be interpreted that we're claiming he knows exactly what's going
To
on.
answer your question, we've got to give 2 pieces of information. We've got to tell him the broader context that we've lost our people to this particular attack by a group apparently made up of these 3 groups.
One of which includes people from his own society.
Yes, we wish to have them back.
So we're telling him that,
Yes,
but somehow magically not insulting him.
yes. By
Okay,
not implying
that
that
sounds good to me. Let's do that.
By not implying that he is involved,
Uh-huh.
or even people directly under his control are involved.
Does this have any value to him? This information.
No, this information won't have any value to it.
Oh,
He
if
probably
he
already
doesn't.
knows.
Well,
But
if he
you're
doesn't-
saying that he may not know this.
Yes.
In
No,
which
no.
case it would have
We
value
don't
to
know
him.
that he
What
knows
he's asking is, he's saying this is what we want. What's the price for this?
Yes.
Yes?
Okay. So is that what I'm just trying to clarify? Is that what we're saying here?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what we're saying.
Yes. Okay. Good. Are we clear?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys cross purposes so magnificently. It's just amazing.
In the middle of a conversation.
We have to. It's the only way to move forward.
Anyways,
We haven't even gotten to a reprise of how many sides does a rectangle.
Voss hears this, and when he hears that your people have gone missing, his face clouds. He looks concerned. He says, "As you may well imagine, it is my job to know what is happening in my domain. So therefore, it must have some great. It must come with some serious import for you to know that I have not heard anything of this nature. There are groups that are involved in various activities which concern us, but which I do not know. Do you have any evidence to suggest that you are that that people are involved from this area?"
Yes, we have these badges.
We
and
show
these-
him the evidence.
And these
Okay.
bits and pieces.
So what bits and pieces do you show him?
Well, we have
All of the
his
number of
badge,
bits and pieces.
caliber
Okay.
bench.
We must point out that they are a mixed brag.
I'm assuming a smudge worker chit is one of his as well.
He looks at that and says straight away, I know what this is. This is, hang on, this is something that Jono's got to find on the page. Hang on, here we go. This we may be able to trace because if you have a look there, it's got an ID tag of one of our workers. So perhaps when we go down onto the factory floor, we may be able to find out who owns it and why it's with you. I will say, however, gentlemen, that I cannot go further ahead unless you have something of value to offer me. However, since what you seek is information, the thing that I would request is information as well. Say some information on how to make some material that is unavailable to us.
Bing! Hang on, didn't we just give you information?
We haven't given him the transparent aluminium yet.
Yes, that's what he's hinting at.
Oh,
So he wants more than our stuff is worth.
yes, just give him the formula.
Well, we haven't really. We've given him information. We haven't given him.
We just said he
anything.
knew nothing about it. So
The
we've
information-
given him something in our.
Yes, that is of value
Also,
to me, but I
if
think
we're investigating it, we find out more. We can give him that information as well.
okay. So that certainly buys you permission to get investigating. But as I said, if you can provide us with some information that we don't already have, such as I don't know, a matrix for a material that you can produce that we cannot.
Have you got an Apple Macintosh and I'll download the formula?
What is an Apple Macintosh?
Should
Hell
be,
on earth.
Should be in your history books.
No. They might not.
So cutting to the chase, when you give him the matrix to transparent aluminium, his face is very poker faced most of the way, but you do see a flash of greed on his face. And he says, the dynamics of this matrix alone will take years to sort out. But you can tell that he is interested. And he then looks at you and says, well, let us not waste any further time. You have my permission to go wheresoever you will in the factory. I will lead you down to the floor, and we can start immediately.
Right. Sorry, I'm fading fast. I've had a flu vaccination now. I'm quite tired. I'll just sit over there.
Okay.
You just go to sleep in the corner.
You're feeling okay? You don't
I'm
need-
just tired. You know,
Okay,
you,
just
do you ever
tired,
get
yeah.
fatigue from vaccination? I do.
Not really.
From
Don't-
flu
I do.
vaccination, I seem to.
I don't get much, but I do know some people do, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we go down to the factory floor. Now, what is the piece of evidence that you're trying to track down, thinking that might help
Well,
identify them?
The worker chick at the beginning seems to be
Yes.
the one.
The foreman on the factory floor notes that a particular worker had gone missing, and that was his number.
How long ago did he go missing?
Approximately 3 days ago.
Who are his friends, and have they gone missing too?
That is an excellent question. And so the foreman looks around and tries to find a few people. There is one person who says, yes, I know him, that's Davin. And when you ask about what Davin is like, the immediate reaction is, well, Davin is a fine worker. He is excellent at his job. I am concerned that he seems to have gone missing, because it's hard for us to complete our allotted tasks without him.
Has anyone else gone missing?
Says the other workers look around and look at each other, puzzled, and one of them says, Mikhail has gone missing as well. She has been missing for about 3 days as well. You don't think she and Davin have run away, do you?
They're on tryst.
They're eloped.
Could we see their sleeping domiciles?
Davin lives on the next continent. He uses the transport
The
network.
next continent. Okay,
That's
I
quite
thought
weird.
that they lived in the same spot, but anyway.
I was under the impression that if they lived in a bloody great megacity, they were all living here. But yes, they were fine.
Well, let's check the closest one first.
I assume they slept next to their machines.
Is there some way?
this is
Sorry.
in Mega City, isn't it?
No, it's not. This is the Steel Coast.
Oh, sorry, my mistake.
The megacity is nearby, but not so nearby that you'd commute.
Megacity is the
I just want
computer
to
technology.
search their apartments.
That
Do they live alone? Can we contact anybody who's actually staying at that apartment? With his family?
I'd rather not contact. I'd rather turn up first and just
Okay,
search
sure.
the place, and then we can ask questions.
well, there is one of them who lives nearby. Mikhail, the woman, lives nearby.
Do we know how long they've got missing for?
3 days.
3 days. So you get conducted over to Mikhail's house, which, by the way, turns out to be a sort of cubicle farm sort of arrangement. and you see that everybody there has fairly sparse accommodation with the occasional photograph or soft toy or whatever, but other than that, there is very little in the way of personality seen in the room. What you do notice is that Mikhail's quarters have not been slept in for several days.
Is there any like reading material or anything floating around?
No, but we don't usually use physical books. We usually use
Data pads.
a data pad.
Is there one of those?
Well, she's obviously got that with her because that's not something you leave.
Damn. Check
Where's her
From the
manifesto?
context of
What?
Where's her manifesto?
from the context of her clothing storage, does she look like she's simply wandered off, or is she packed and for an extended departure?
She's left a few uniforms here, so it looks like she was probably expecting to
If
return.
I lived like this, I would also join a terrorist.
Okay. Meanwhile, while some of you are going to investigate her quarters, can I have someone do an engineering or a science roll?
Who has got the best engineering? Oh, I've got 3.
Nope.
I also have 3.
Does anyone have better than 2 in science?
5.
That's better than 2.
Okay. You notice something on the factory floor. You notice that one of the machines has an altered plasma residue. It looks like it's about to go. It looks like it's about to go unbalanced.
This machine is about to go unbalanced.
The foreman looks at you strangely and says,
It has an altered plasma residue.
"Nonsense. That can't be right."
You should
He
check.
orders one of his workers to check the machine, who turns white and says, "I'm going to need help here." Several of the workers come around, but it becomes very, very clear that none of them have the understanding necessary to really.
One of us would
Deal
tell
with
us
it.
to do this.
Okay, you fix it for them.
Engineering?
Yep.
They're better than a hero.
But better than that.
No, it's not that bad.
What is it?
It's a 2.
Which is perfectly good enough because what's going wrong with the machine is not actually that far out of your range of normal activities.
My character is not there, but is this something that's wear and tear of an extremely unusual nature, or is it sabotage?
You have suspicions, and I was going to tell you this before. You have suspicions that this was deliberate. You look like you. If you were a suspicious man, which you kind of are, you would be thinking that maybe this was somebody trying to prevent you from finding
You
things
see
out.
the way the plasma manifold is rooted back onto itself there. This was obviously rigged to fail.
We should check the work area of the other guy in case
Was
that's
it
been
rigged
rigged to
to
fail as
3
well.
days ago?
They hurriedly go over to that's Davin's work area. So Mekiel works on the area which has just been sabotaged. You go over to Davin's area, and you find there is also a similar, very subtle sabotage there, which probably would have caused problems later on that day.
Presumably all this will get reported back to what's his face anyway.
Mhm.
We should probably tell him.
The foreman is very grateful to you, and he says,
What's he got to
"I owe you a debt."
We'll take a debt. Where
Okay.
is she?
Let us hoard our
Do you
bets for
have-
later.
Do you have anything that you need me to do for you?
Well, we're very interested in what happened to Devon and Mikhail.
Yeah, all known associates might be
The
and maybe
Or any odd behaviours.
yeah, recent trips or anything to elsewhere.
The foreman notices one of you has in your pocket an odd plasma cutter. He says, "Did you bring that from your ship?"
No.
Well, no, the answer to that is, did we? Tell us, DM, did we actually bring it down from the ship?
No, this is
We-
this is
This
the one
the
that
ones we picked up.
one of the ones you picked up. Yes.
Okay, well, explain that. Right, my
because
character's not there, I can't actually do that, but yes.
Weirdly enough, I'm more focused on the game line down over here.
well, it's just
Good
that
night,
the foreman says, I don't think this is a coincidence, but those miniature plasma cutters, they are the very items that we make in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the question I have: is how recently was this sabotage done? Was it done by those two before they disappeared,
Yes.
or is some other member of their camaraderie actively sabotaging things more recently than that?
I think it was the former.
It is difficult to say because this machine has not been accessed since their last shift, but it could have been any time since.
The scripture said it looked like they were expecting to come back, but if you were going to blow the place up anyway, you probably wouldn't care about your work clothes.
Arguably, yes. Now,
This is something that seems disturbing to these people, but
yes. The foreman indicated that the miniature torches that we picked up from the assault group are of the type which actually get built in this area. Nevertheless, he also indicated these seem unusual. Have they actually been altered in some way, or is it? Oh, I'm mixing a different context.
let me have a look at the cutter that you've got there.
Mm-hmm.
Who has it?
Oh, well, the cutter was one of the things that you had a few of.
Yes.
Okay, so he takes a look at it, and he says, "This is very definitely one of ours." But look here, the intermix has been modified here. This would work not as a cutter, but as a weapon.
Mm. That would make sense then.
Cut to end.
Can somebody roll on rapport?
Okay, what characters are specifically there who can actually make rapport?
Apparently.
The captain strikes up a conversation with some of the other people around, and one of them looks a little bit oddly at you and says, I think I know, and he says very quietly so as not to be heard by any of the other people around, I think I know where you might find more of those. If you can meet me over in that corner in a few minutes, or one of your people. I'll send you over. Okay.
He gets bagged instantly and ends up
And then there was
Slowly but surely, I lose everybody.
And then there were none.
Quick, jump into the break.
Captain's belong. I've lost all 256 members of my crew. I am the last one left, but they'll never find me in this wooden crate.
And you can do it with a crew that's expendable. A crew that's expendable. Sorry.
Just like that Lost in Space episode, where even when they actually tie ropes to each other, they all vanish one by one.
A short while later, when you move over there, the person who was talking to you introduces you to somebody else. His name is Joe, just J-O, Joe. And if you were to ask,
For Joe.
what is Joe like, the word that comes to your mind immediately is bland.
Not the guy from Sesame Street
And the guy
who
who's
sells letters.
the guy who knows Joe says, have a look at the item that this gentleman has. And you show him the weapon. And Joe goes even blander
If that's possible.
and says,
So bland that it's kind of chilling.
what makes you think I would know anything about this? The other guy just gives him a look. And Joe nods in a sort of defeat, says, there's a shipment of those that disappeared weeks ago. And the guy looks sarcastically and says, and I'm sure you know nothing about it. Joe smiles and says, Nothing at all. And walks away.
Something might be worth Joe to jog his memory.
Joe goes
Hey,
back. Joe goes back to his workstation, and it is very clear that he's told you everything he's prepared to tell you.
At the moment.
However, roll for notice.
Is this everybody's rolling for
Yeah, everyone's rolling for notice.
That's a 0.
Well, presumably everybody who's at this location, the people at Mick House,
Roll for me.
dollar
You
signs.
need to, you
Oh,
need to notice.
they've returned.
Oh, we've returned. Oh, okay, fine. Yep. Yep. 3.
4.
4. Thalmec,
Yep.
you notice that whilst you are talking, you're being watched by a worker who has an implant. A lot of the workers have implants, but this worker's implant is glowing.
It began terror. They go,
And
When I understood the weakness of my flesh,
And
it's
he-
disgusting.
you will ask
He
to
looks-
be saved.
he looks
but
at
I
you,
already
and you
am
can see
saved.
you can see that he's sort of sneaking off into the background.
I'm not gonna say anything to any of them. I'm just gonna walk off and follow them.
Pinocchio from the Klopeks.
Hang on a moment. I'm just going to have a look at your skills. Beep. Roll on physique. Beep.
Okay. Three.
You are able to keep up with him.
Well, is he going quite fast? Is he?
No, you're just very asthmatic.
Well, sorry, you are able to keep up with him without arousing his
Oh, okay.
suspicion.
Yep.
You notice that he is actually apparently leaving the factory, and it does not appear that this is the end of shift for anybody else.
Yep. I'll keep
That's not
following him.
conspicuous at all.
You keep following him.
Yep.
He finally notices you're following him, and he starts running.
Yep. Time to run.
Counted, you're the only 2 people
Okay.
on the street.
Roll on physique again. He darts round a corner, and you don't see where he's going.
Can you use a fate point? Invoke an aspect.
What aspects do you have?
They're all written down.
What are your stunts?
Oh, hold up a second. We're using instant generic.
No, I'm using a.
He's
Romulan
using his
character.
own. So he's a super spy. You should have super spy stuff.
Because you're a deep cover Romulan agent,
Can't you follow people?
I assumed I could.
because you're a deep cover Romulan agent, you are very, very good. So if you pay me a fate point,
Sure.
you are very, very good at following people. So he thinks he's given you the slip.
So we're using
He
Space
is-
Ninja.
He is wrong.
No, sorry, that's Peter. Oh,
That's Peter.
No.
No, but he is wrong
Cover.
because you managed to get round the corner faster than he expects, and you slide out and you manage to knock him down.
Okay, good. But he's not unconscious.
No, he's not unconscious, but you've got him.
Can always stun him.
All right. Yeah. Good. All right. I'll grab him by his uniform. I'm going to.
Beat him to death with my forehead.
I'm going to use command and sort of forcefully ask him why the attention on us. Do you want me to roll?
Yep, roll and command.
Oh my god.
I've rolled the thing again.
That's as they roll.
It is. How lucky for me. So what? Minus 2? No, a 0.
He looks at you and he screams, "Harmonio autoritato heritaggio,"
I don't know, Jack.
and shoots himself.
That's that slogan they say.
Oh, I thought it was like magic, Harry Potter.
Shoots himself where?
Shoots himself in the head. He is dead. Very, very, very dead.
I'm going to search him.
He shoots himself.
You
for
search
no
him?
reason.
And you find, hang on.
That's funny.
You find an encrypted data chip.
Okay.
Gold.
So I'll take that. Also, that thing that I saw that was glowing like some Borg implant or whatever.
Yep.
What was that?
That was a communications implant, so it's
Where? Like, how is it?
well.
implanted
You
in
notice
the eye or
a lot of the workers wear these. So because it was glowing, you know it was active,
Yeah,
but that's about all you know.
but what is it exactly? It's just like an eyepiece, or it's a
It's an earpiece.
yeah.
A lot of the workers have them. When you ask the foreman says, "Yes, that's a way of keeping in contact with each other."
Right, so I can take the earpiece.
Well, no,
You have
because
to dig it out.
you have to dig it. It's built into his flesh.
What thing did you get?
He got a data chip.
No, I mean out of these things.
I got a chit and a burnt tag.
Well, use the burnt tag to dig it out.
Yeah.
No, you can't very well dig out an implant that is actually built into somebody's head. It is.
He's dead,
You
doesn't
just
he?
need a good pair of pliers.
You just need a box cutter.
So for the eyeball.
So I need the head.
Just
Oh, the
check
head
the
is gone.
head.
Well, maybe it's only the chip left.
Behold,
The head
I
is
am
the-
Perseus.
Okay, Romulans are a bit more violent than I remembered them. Are you seriously going to take his head?
All you need to do is pick him up and carry him over the shoulder. Take him back as a trophy.
That's true.
Yeah, I'll carry it.
Wear him as a cape.
And a nice apparel of hat.
Comes back wearing the worker's skin. No,
Behold, I have conquered my commander.
the people that you come back to at the factory line are a little bit stunned and horrified at seeing a dead body. This is not a normal part of everyday life, apart from when a machine fails. But yes, they said, "What happened?"
I walk back over to the captain. I put his body down. Like, I literally throw it down. And I look at you and I go, he killed himself. I found this. And I hand him what
What did he use to
data
kill
chip.
himself with? Was it just a gun?
It was just
or-
he got out one of the sorry, I meant to say that
The laser
he got out
cutting
one of
things.
the plasma
Yes.
torches.
Yeah.
And he pulled it up to full level, so his head looks pretty ugly right now.
So who's best to undo the chip?
May
Get it
I
closed.
suggest
We know-
that if
we get-
all of these
yes.
plasma cutters normally built here are actually falling into
Big race car,
unorthodox
or
hands, we
rail
might want to
axis.
check inventory to see how many have gone missing.
Good question. The foreman looks at his list and he says there is one specific shipment has gone missing. And he looks at you and says, if I were a betting man, I'd say that the serial number on your blasters there would match the missing.
Do you know how many is in the shipment?
Approximately 100.
That's quite a few.
And all those guys weren't armed with all of them.
And sure enough,
More.
when they do a quick check on the numbers, that is confirmed. All the ones that you have are numbered with in the missing shipment.
And how long ago did this shipment go missing?
About a week ago.
Okay.
This can't be directed against us unless they were clairvoyant and knew we were coming. So
Where's the foreman?
Haven't we been here for a
The
week?
foreman is with you at the moment.
have we
Who
been
is
in
this
for a
man?
week?
No,
The
Ah,
foreman
feels
is
like a
looking
lot
strangely and says,
feels like for
well,
Try and piece his head back
It was
together.
like 3 days.
But who is he?
he says, it is hard to tell given the fact that his face is all melted, but
Fingerprint analysis?
workers' chips.
DNA?
he is not one of the missing workers. He looks at it and says, I cannot be sure, but I don't believe I've known this worker before. That's not particularly unusual here, though, because we're always getting new recruits and casual workers. So I can't be certain that there's anything suspicious about this,
That he could be a spy.
but he could be a spy.
What did he have access to? What was his job?
Well, since I don't know who he was, I can't answer that
But
question.
that's facial recognition. He should have workers'
got the
ID,
face.
the
Yeah.
workers' chits.
Okay, looks at the worker's chit, and the worker's chit says that he belonged.
Sorry.
Shit.
He belongs in a completely different department, a completely different factory.
Oh,
So he's stolen the ID or something, so It's not even.
It would have got him. It would have got him through the gate, but it wouldn't have got him to here. If you
How did he know we were here? How did he know?
Well,
to record us
he
and-
didn't know.
He looked at us, didn't he?
the
just
the foreman does point out. Look, we're making plasma cutters. These aren't exactly classified equipment. We don't really worry too much about security here.
Alright,
This
we
is nothing
can't
to
get the
do
thing
with
out that's in
technical.
his, like the implant or whatever,
No.
but I asked the foreman, does he know exactly what this implant does?
The foreman looks at you funny.
What?
You don't have implants like this in your society.
No. I don't
Ah,
tell him, I
well.
don't tell him about the board.
Well, these implants can be used if you want to talk to somebody. You input a 10-digit code, which tells them, and then you can speak to them.
It's the Elon plant.
God, you know what a mobile phone is.
They've embedded mobile phones in their heads.
This is the Elon mobile phone that he wants to inject into
Yeah,
everybody in
exactly.
the brain because he's
Wouldn't
an
it be
idiot.
crap if your implant goes out of date and you need to
I was
get a
about
new
to
one
say,
every
how
2
do you
years?
upgrade your implant?
I just want to know how you change the battery without getting an operation.
Is there a way we could
It's got
find
a
out
micro USB
No,
slot.
when you go to bed, you plug yourself
who
in.
this implant last
I roll over
communicated
and
with?
the sleep to do that.
Marin Voss might have the authority to do that. Nobody else would.
Let's go to Marin Voss.
I think it's worth trying to find out who was communicating.
Yes, let's go. Marin Voss. He'll want to know this anyway.
So we don't want to decode the chip thing.
We
Yeah, we
could
can do that as well,
We
but I
could do
want to
that
know who
too.
this guy was trying to communicate with so urgently that he had to leave.
Okay. Are there any other questions which we should ask while we're here?
That's a philosophical question.
Yeah.
No,
Let's
no.
ask Marin Voss.
No, is there any other information that we can get while we're here on Flat River?
The only other leads that's suspicious to you that we are leaving alone at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
The foreman, meanwhile, is calling over, is calling for emergency workers who arrive on the scene.
Yep.
Basically the equivalent of an ambulance man looks down and pronounces life to be extinct. Does anybody know what time the death happened?
Put your
How long will it take
finger
me to
in the
get back?
eye hole.
So you killed him.
He killed himself. And you'll notice that. Do I have a phaser on me?
No, you don't.
Anyway?
Well, you have a phaser, but it's a normal stuff.
We use the
Yeah.
cutter.
Yeah.
It is not consistent with the injuries he's received.
Exactly.
And in fact, the weapon that he used to inflict the injuries is still in his very, very rigor mortis hand. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out what happened. Okay, so they take him away. Marin Voss appears on the floor, looking very, very perturbed. I gave you permission to come down here, he says. I did not give you permission for this making a fuss. What is going on here?
Conspiracy.
Well, I'll explain to him what happened. As we were having a conversation with the foreman, and then I noticed that there was somebody looking suspicious in our direction, and he attempted to leave quickly, so I followed him.
I
And
see.
when I caught up to him, and I may have knocked him over, he then took it upon himself to turn his own phaser.
You should tell him what he said before he blew his head off.
Yeah, and then I repeat the phrase that he said.
And Marin Voss turns white at that. He says, I have heard that phrase before. The terrorists.
Yep.
I think we need to go up to my office.
As you wish.
Up in the office, Marin Voss asks, now, I need you to be honest with me. Did he leave behind any other information other than this? Any papers, any data chits, anything like that?
He was
And
talking
you
to
have
somebody on his implant, and I believe you have access to the implant metadata.
That is true. So he goes to his computer and he types in an override code, and you see a written text message that has been sent by this guy. It says they have identified the shipment.
Who's it to?
It is to an unspecified number. Voss growls. It is to a deliberately unknown number. You can buy these at any workplace supplies.
Yeah, burner phone.
What is this burner phone?
It's basically the name we use for the equivalent of what you've just described.
An untraceable communication device.
Well, that is exactly what it is. However, if he did you find anything else on his body?
I'm not going to say anything. I just look at the captain.
Captain, he is looking at you.
That's why I asked before whether we had any method to decode this. Yeah, we found this chip.
Okay, he puts it in, and it decrypts immediately. The chip has a list of requirements. It manifests a destination marked lower watch point, TG access tunnel 4C. And there is a shipment listed of portable structural reinforcement units, food packs and hydrocell water units, long duration environmental stabilizers. The site is noted as autosufficient, uplink suppression ordered by La Rompita directive, occupied, authorized personnel only.
The bad guy is me.
Is
The-
Larum Peter a person specifically, or is that simply a generic name for a protocol?
La Rompita is a normal Esperanto word. It means the broken.
Oh, okay.
So
The broken.
Merrin Voss looks genuinely puzzled, says, I do not know what any of this means, but there does seem to be some kind of significance here. The broken directive. What does that mean? And TG access, tunnel 4C. What does that mean?
That could be the megacity.
Given that there are transports and infrastructure
Yeah.
which crisscross the planet, it could be in any of the cities, settlements, outposts.
4C is still a definite location.
Yes.
There are tunnels under the city. I can find out whether there's any that would fit a description like Tunnel 4C, but that's not something I can find out quickly. That will require me to talk to some people.
Okay.
If you have anywhere else you wish to go, it would probably be worth your while. Doing that. It will take me several days to find this out.
And you can communicate with us wherever we go.
We could give him one of our communicators.
Well, that's probably less painful than us getting an implant.
Yes.
Merrin Voss asks, would you be willing to give us 2 of these devices?
Captain?
What devices?
Communicator devices.
These communicator devices. They're very
we're
efficient.
not giving them communicator
It's not
devices.
big easy getting an implant.
We don't need an implant. There's no reason for an implant. Just something that communicates. It can be a two-way radio.
Okay. Well,
If you
give him
could,
a
if you
mobile
could give
phone.
us, if you could give us 2 of these devices, I would consider myself to be in your debt.
We just have to give him a basic.
He's already
communicator.
now dead. We've just given him, like, what they call aluminum
Just
transparent.
It's just a phone.
Just give it to him.
It'll make
Yeah,
our
sure.
lives
No,
easier.
Give it to him, whatever.
He smiles broadly and says, thank you, folks. You have made my life considerably easier, and I will make yours considerably easier at some time in the future.
Now he's going to blow up the planet.
No, nobody's going to blow up the planet. However, whilst you have examined the Steel Coast, you have not yet found your colleagues.
Okay.
That is true.
But we've made progress.
You have definitely made progress, and you have found signs of something going on.
Conspiracy of bastards. We should choose another location to search out while
That
he
might be a
is
wonderful idea.
checking up the stuff for us. Captain?
So-
Okay, so
You have investigated. The Forges of a Light,
yes.
and you have found they are involved in something. But not. I should say here, it is clear that they are not officially involved in something. There are people amongst them that are involved.
Yeah, it seems like there's some kind of cult or terrorist cell or something that's across all three houses and doesn't involve. We thought it was an alliance of the three houses, but instead it seems to be some sort of.
Do you want to go to Milshire Psycho Place first or Elon Musk Land?
Shadow of the Cloud or Sword and Shield? Which would you prefer to go next?
Shadow of the Cloud.
Elon Musk Land. Okay.
Okie dokie. Alrighty.
Does Vangelis music start?
Yes, indeed. Vangelis music does start when you come in here.
Cool.
And it is constantly raining.
Oh.
Don't.
Acid rain.
We're clearly making
Blade Runner, yes.
Blade Runner jokes. Yes.
Okay, righto. Now, you think back to what the monk said about these guys, because you remember he talked about all of them. Obscura Enclave, the Polished Mask. Obscura welcomes everyone. Traders, thinkers, diplomats, wanderers. Its markets are well lit, its laws clear, and its streets swept clean by drones before most rise from sleep. You'll be offered tea, you'll be invited to speak, you'll be made to feel at ease. But do not confuse openness with transparency. For every story shared in Obscura, 2 more go unspoken. Yes, that's it. Every smiling envoy has a second loyalty. Every perfectly timed gesture has been rehearsed. The city is vast, tiered in layers that aren't merely physical. What is visible is curated, polished. The real workings are subtle, encoded in policy and patterns, in who is allowed to ask questions and who is allowed to answer them. There is brilliance here, innovation, dialogue, but also omission. If you walk through Obscura, you will not be turned away. But if you wish to understand it, you must learn to listen between the lines.
Our openness is going to confuse the hell out of them.
Administrator Corrin does not govern with fire or steel. His weapons are silence, patience, and inevitability. They say he rose without contest. That when his brotherhood fell into infighting and flame, he merely remained. The last man standing in a room full of collapsed
Is he
ambitions.
the twin brother of the other guy we just met?
It was the same AI that produced it. You will find no banners in his hall, no slogans, no ritual, just order, efficient, sterile, and absolute. Do not mistake calm for weakness. His eyes miss nothing. He smiles rarely, and when he does, it is because the outcome has already been decided. Speak with precision. Offer solutions, not ideals. He listens, yes, but not in the way you're used to. It is said that his mind runs like a machine, constantly measuring probabilities, filtering noise from signals.
It'd be funny if everybody on the planet looked exactly the same. They're just all like Woody Allen clones or something.
He will welcome you, not as guests, but as variables, and he will test you, not with threats, but with choices. Some of you may not even realise you've been made. Some of the choices you may not realise have been made until much later. Remember, some rulers do not command; they simply make resistance unnecessary. You arrive in the neon-drenched cyberpunk sprawl of obscure enclave. Holograms pulse across data towers and alleys swarm with smugglers, runners and drones.
Smugglers.
Hey man, you want a death stick?
Or possibly some zap guns.
How about some
Modified. From a household appliance.
Ask him about his mother.
Administrator Corrin, pale and polished, greets you in Cloud Nexus, the glowing tower that houses the city's central intelligence systems. He greets you with disdain. He's not used to outsiders. As he speaks to you, he looks a little puzzled until a small hologram flickers into view. A small voice says to him, "These are the Outlanders. They have come with questions for you." At this point, he looks at you. "What do you want?"
Same as last time, show him the thing, tell him the story.
What thing?
The same things we showed
The evidence.
the smiling guy here with the big CEO behind him. We showed him now.
Basically, the context of how our two
what's the other stuff we
staff
have?
members got kidnapped
What are
and
those two? What's
that we
that
want
thing?
them back.
That's the thing that I was given.
Yes, but what
The
is
8 signal loop back tags.
That might be the thing we need to show him that will interest him the most.
We're showing all the things. Exactly the same
We'll
as
show
we
him
showed
everything.
him.
Okay.
You
And
tell him
say
about
what happened.
You tell him about your missing crew members. Unlike Merrin Voss, who showed absolute concern and care, his response was, "That is unfortunate. That is not my problem."
We should ask what is his problem.
My problem is a city of 500 million people.
That is quite a lot of people.
Making sure that everything runs smoothly is what I do, and I do it well.
Ah, so there's no dissent.
Why would there be dissent? I run this place properly.
And yet there's a terrorist cell operating here.
At least partly here.
I assume you have proof of this allegation.
We have supporting evidence.
Well,
We have described to you the situation. We have told you that we have come from a place where we have found traitors amongst the midst who were plotting, and we have at least suspicion that this plot runs into your society as well.
somebody roll on academic.
I've got 2. Does anybody have better than that?
Damn, why am I dropping things on the floor with such rapidity?
I'm not academic at all.
Okay, so that's
Thank you, Evan.
Sorry, basic material again.
Okay.
What was that?
So
What did you get?
1.
Oh,
Okay. So 2 is the best anyone's got.
yes,
I thought you did better.
Sorry.
As the
Alright.
he seems about to answer when suddenly the small avatar sparkles to life again, says something very quick that you are unable to hear, and then when it disappears again,
Small avatar.
there's a small
holographic image.
holographic image pops up on his wrist,
And I was the computers in charge of this place.
Well, no, it's an artificially intelligent
And
personal assistant.
it says something to him,
It's called
and
T.
he says
A reasonable facsimile.
he says what you're saying is interesting, but I don't see any real proof of what you're accusing us of.
accusing him of?
We're not
We're not accusing
you
him. Where did that come from?
You just said that my people are terrorists. I'm saying
I
that
didn't
this-
say
No, he
your people
definitely
are
did not
terrorists.
say
I
that.
said that there is a terrorist operating amongst your people.
Yes, but that is to say that my people are terrorists, and they are not.
Oh, okay. Well,
No,
we can
that's
go.
fine.
We can go to the other people and try and track down our people. If you're refusing to accept the at least plausibility, then you're dooming yourself to your own
Yeah, good point.
ends.
Can somebody roll on provoke?
Cool. Should be right.
Diplomacy.
You can roll on diplomacy. Yes, you can roll on diplomacy.
I did not even know that provoke was a skill that we
Is
had
this,
an
a,
option
is this
for.
a formal? No, it's not really. 3.
The diplomacy, even despite things seeming to go pear-shaped, this actually makes it through his thick skull. You seem to be appealing to his sense of logic, and the voice of the avatar says, "You should require proof before dismissing this out of hand." So, Corin strangely seems to radically shift his direction. He is still reluctant to talk to you, but he does note that the disruptor dart that you have is of shadow manufacture. And he begrudgingly tells you there is a weapons broker named Cypher in the town who may be able to help you.
Thank you for the information. If we find out anything that we think you might find useful, we'll let you know. If you find out anything more, please let us know.
He nods gruffly. You are dismissed.
Okay, take that now then, so we go and find this cipher person.
Now, you have a little bit of a problem here. There's 500 million people in this town. You need to find one person.
Is there a directory? Or
Um,
a phone book?
Does somebody have a high operations skill?
Yes.
Okay. There are lots of public data terminals. See if you can access one of them.
Okay. So the 0 roll gives me a total of 4.
Okay. That is easily enough to get in. You have managed to get into the computer system of the city, and you find something odd. When you type in the name Cypher,
Yes.
what you find is that every time you type in the name Cypher, it seems like it just vanishes from your search.
Try quarter it or something.
Okay, so it's presumably self-erasing. If we're lucky, it could be the fact that not only is the information being erased automatically, but it is also notifying Cypher that somebody is looking for them and they'll simply meet us. However, we should have a plan B.
We could go back to that guy and show him this.
Everybody roll on notice.
No.
0.
Oh, 2 plus 2, teleport.
No.
2.
You are not sure, but you thought you saw movement. But you look around, and you must have been mistaken.
I'll use my high concept again to actually see them.
Every time we do the 6 little gremlins stick down bit.
I'll actually see them because I know what it's like to be able
You
to hide
do?
in plain sight, and I will
You
know
do?
somebody.
But you are up against an expert.
Yes,
So-
it's a good thing I'm an expert.
So you have You have not been able to observe them, but you are certain they're there. You are absolutely certain.
Okay.
You'd stake your reputation on it. You know that they are there,
All right. I wanna-
even though you can't actually see them.
Okay, I'll go in that general direction, hoping to pick something up.
Okay? You go in that general direction,
Execution data.
and you find a very suspicious lack of anything.
Okay. What's this? Do we think it's this person? Like, are we that lucky that like we've flagged
we
it
just
50
happen
times
to
and
be
that-
at the same
If
turn
we're
of the
lucky,
cycle we're
yes.
standing
And like I'm
next
saying,
to.
I'm thinking that I might need to do some serious hacking to try and as a plan B. But
it's not the whole train.
No, but somebody's been.
You
followed.
are
That's
you,
for
when you
certain.
although in this area you are now on your own.
Yep.
There's nobody else around you.
Yep.
There are a couple of people in this dark alley, and people don't normally go down this dark alley, and so therefore you are being looked at.
Even if you saw that for a split second, you know it wasn't a normal person. You know it's some sort of sparkly
What's
person.
this? So how many people are?
It's
in
an
this
avatar.
Yes.
How many people are in this alley?
2 or 3. They're just looking at you though. They're not making any movements towards you or against you.
Give us.
We
the
didn't get a
mechanical
description
man.
of this person, did we? That we're looking for.
Cipher, no, only a
Cipher.
name.
Ring the bell.
Eh?
Only a name.
Okay. There's only 2 or 3 people in this.
Yep.
This
We should- we
alleyway.
should
So
go-
I'm just gonna take a punt. Gonna say, who's this person? Cipher.
Cipher.
yes.
I was going to say,
Cypher.
go here as bar.
Need to
and
speak
start
with
yelling,
you.
We need to buy cars.
Roll on deceive.
If only we knew someone who could sell us lots of guns, preferably really illegal.
Oh dear.
Oh God.
I still get a 1.
You get a 1.
Yeah.
That's you're trying to trick the local into thinking that you have some reason that you should be speaking to Cipher, and the local just looks at you and says, "Who is Cipher?" and walks away.
I've lost track of what's going on now. I think
It's cool.
We're in the
we-
French Quarter,
French Louisiana,
and we've met
New
the
Orleans.
chef who says he makes the best
gumbo in town.
gumbo in town.
And so you're about to sit down to some croissants while you wait for the gumbo. Yeah.
It's great.
And he's hunting women, but not succeeding.
All right. I'll
That sounds like New Orleans.
walk.
Just lift up your shoe.
Are they running away from me, or are they just walking away?
No, they're just walking away as though you're not important.
Well, at least he answered me, he or she.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll follow them and I'll say, our companions are missing. We need to find them. They could be in trouble.
Take pity on us.
And the
Pity?
person
What
looks
is
at you and
pity?
says, "That is unfortunate. I hope you find them. Goodbye."
Doesn't look like he's going to be much help.
No.
Everyone roll on notice.
Oh,
Hang on.
Oh,
I got 4 by some miracle,
I got 1.
You did it.
and now I am dead.
Oh no.
You very definitely
You
noticed some
notice a
movement.
bullet coming towards you very quickly.
Yeah, I just got hit
You
by
even
a.
notice the exquisite pain as it enters your temple.
And the answer is.
I got, well, if I was also rolling on those, I got a 5 with that one. Wherever I
You
am.
definitely saw something. You saw 2 glowing dots of light.
What, like the fucking predators after me now or something? What do you mean to that, or I'm being sniped?
Well, that
What
means
colour?
that
Could
was one of
almost
those
be
things.
Red.
It had to be red.
Yeah.
It had to be red. You know it had to be red.
Stalked by the predator. Yes.
Oh man, I'm definitely whacked out.
Should we
Okay.
do that shortly?
Okay, well, we'll finish at the end of this encounter. We'll finish. Okay,
The boosters-
everyone roll on physique.
Yeah! See whether we all pass out.
I'm Fiziki.
1.
No, you're gonna collapse. You died. You've now been shot by the sniper.
I'm 0.
So we did.
I am also 0.
3.
We're all dead. No.
So does this
I've
That's what I
got
said.
3
Go,
as
get
well.
out. Hooray.
This character has no skills other than science.
Um,
No, just science.
well, I mean, you're an ensign. You're pretty low on the food chain.
Well, in that case,
So-
it's -2.
Negative 2. Okay, so what did you get for physique?
Was it 0 or 1? I think
It
it was
was
0, yes.
0.
3.
3.
-2.
Negative
0.
0.
1.
3. Okay,
Yeah, correct.
the science officer on -2
You die.
is the first person to know what is unfortunately going to happen to you.
If only I knew what was happening to me.
The construct comes out of nowhere
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's a golem.
and
If only.
expertly
Mm-hmm.
hits you in exactly the right place on the skull
It's
to
assassin-
knock you down
it's a
cold.
Bloody assassin bot.
You have
You are now twitching.
no, he's not twitching. He's entirely unconscious.
Not
No,
Elysian
you're massive-
highbrow. I
you're
only just
massive.
gave her a name.
Your massive Neolithic skull will save you.
No, she is down like a sack of spuds.
All right, I'm putting two crosses in physical stress.
That would be a very good idea because and on the consequences put stunned,
I'll write that in.
unconscious. Okay, so you are down. Okay, roll on physique again.
What, everybody?
Everybody,
Well, this thing is
except him. He's gone.
Except Melissa, she's gone already.
CPK.
Even worse.
Okay, what did you get?
2.
I need some dice.
Okay,
-3.
-3,
-1.
-1,
4.
4,
So, 2.
2, -3. Okay, this time you don't actually get knocked all the way out, but you do take two physical stress.
Can we shoot
You are
thing?
conscious, but you have been knocked down.
This is a
And
really long way to
and the
shoot
robot
that.
is standing there with its fist over you, ready to punch down.
Can I shoot
But
it?
before you do anything else, a voice says,
Stop
hang on a minute.
people.
A voice says, stand down, Wraithby. I'll take it from here.
Wraithby.
Ah, here we go.
Wraith
AI
B.
person's turned up. Urban was correct.
How was Urban correct? Sorry.
I don't know. I thought you said the AI person was here.
Okay, where is she? Where is she?
It's a woman. You have to be a woman.
This one?
Be presentable.
No, not her.
This is your chance.
I don't need chances.
How many lawsuits will, assuming that Trump ever gets out of power ever, the lawsuits are going to go on for decades.
I don't know. It's just
Every day there's another crime. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
you know he won his golf championship.
And
somebody
Elon,
was commenting that was very similar to Nero
And I'm not
always
even
winning at the
doing that
Olympic
Trump,
Games.
It's just Trump. There'll be lawsuits against practically everyone in the administration.
And yesterday, Elon got #1 in the world in Tetris.
No, you're making that crap up.
I don't
He
think
stopped
he
being
is.
cool in 1977.
That's why I chose it. You know he's been paying people to make
I
this
know.
big
Never stopped
gaming.
being cool.
That's true. That's true.
He said it. I
Here we go.
disagree. I just
This
chose it
person
as a
turns up.
What's she look like now?
Space babe. With a hole in her head.
Space Babe.
Okay.
That's what you typed in, isn't it? You just typed Space
Space
babe.
babe. I'm going to say,
God.
I'm going to say the color contrast makes it quite hard to see, but yes,
That's the version that I actually modified the
they're
color
very
contrast.
dark. They're very
Because the
dark.
other ones were unpresentable.
I asked for something that was in a cyberpunk background, and it
I've got to
delivered.
say, this is one great. I don't have a lot of positive things to say about generative AI, but when it comes to, when it comes to
these all ending up?
It is still-
making graphics for video, for role playing, it's very useful.
But it's still stuff they stole off somebody.
Oh yeah, it's still stuff they stole off somebody else. Absolutely.
So Cypher is standing there in front of you, whilst your colleagues recover
Oh,
from
that's Cypher.
Cypher.
That's Cypher, yes.
Cypher's a woman.
What? She
And
said.
a person.
You
She
can't
says-
be a woman and a person at the same time. That'd be like being Irish and human.
And the offences continue.
Cypher is a calm, surgical mind in a world of chaos.
Thank
She
God.
is completely unconcerned by everything that's going around you, and says, "I apologise for the injuries to your colleagues. However, it is important to be cautious in this world. I suggest that we go somewhere where we can talk."
Okay.
So cautious means knocking people unconscious.
Attacking them in public.
We first need to
More
see-
Elysian
We're
highbrow.
trying to contact them.
Did anyone
That
bring
seems
a
real calm.
anyone bring a med kit, or do we just beam her back up?
Imagine if Bezos behaved like that.
Just beam her back
her?
up. Yeah, just beam her back up. She's been knocked unconscious. She's
Yep.
got to go to sick bay.
One to beam up,
Beat down a replacement.
Yep.
beam down a place.
Beam down a suspiciously similar
Now I'm
replacement.
going to have to come up with another name.
Because Maleficent Highhead
Twins who have the same name.
is now
The twins in this society
unconscious.
they share the same
Quadruple.
consciousness.
Quadruplets.
She'll wake up with a massive headache going, "Join Starfleet," they said. "It'll be fun," they said.
So Cypher looks at you and says, "So how did you find out about me?"
Well, do we have a story for you?
I missed out on that bit. I think I might have
This
done
one, man.
You're unconscious anyway.
You were busy
Big time.
hallucinating.
And in the med bay.
That man told.
Yes.
Administrator Corrin. Why am I not surprised?
Because he's the one who said it.
He doesn't like you.
So
No, it's not.
surprise.
It's not that he doesn't like me, sir. It's more that Nebula 9 doesn't like me.
The AI.
Indeed, you know about the AI.
Yes, it was a bit obvious.
Well, Nebula 9 is what runs this entire city. He believes he is in control. I believe otherwise.
You say that in real world.
No.
That'd be perfect.
What did he actually say?
This is our captain, by the way.
So, since you are here, what exactly are you trying to find out about?
Guns, sir.
Two
Guns.
of our crew
Oh, am I
members
talking
have
again?
gone
Okay.
missing. The
Yeah, here's the thing.
circumstances are fill in blank here.
Do
We
they-
wish to track them down and have their return.
But we're following a shipment of guns.
What sorts of weapons come from here? If
What?
you're looking for guns, that's probably more in the domain of the sword and shield.
Do you know anything about fart guns?
These are modified.
Fart guns?
These are modified guns.
Modified guns.
From industrial lasers or
No, no,
Plasma
no, no,
things.
no,
We
no.
had
What?
tracked down the industrial lasers from the other city. It is the dart guns which we believe.
oh, the
are
dart guns.
Dart
yes,
guns.
Yes, after the dart guns. Yes.
Dart
Sorry,
guns.
forgot about them.
What sort of... Do you have one of the darts?
Apparently a
Yes,
toucanette,
Oh,
as in a toucan, but not quite.
Oh,
a mini.
these
toucan.
ones come from Camino.
A yellow
Yes.
toucanette.
The
Didn't know such a-
weapons dealer looks at the dart and says, "Yes, I recognise these."
I
No.
haven't memorised.
Excuse me while I just close this
Why not
cabinet
the
filled
index
with my
values, yeah.
incriminating armour.
She
It's an
says-
updated book.
She says, "I could,
Dear publisher,
I could not get you these.
your book sucks.
I would."
Sorry, John.
Your books.
You guys are hard work.
Sorry for hard work.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
He's
Shut up.
The one thing I do know is that the 1 week of stuff I've given you is probably enough for the
Oh,
next
yeah.
3. Okay. No. So she looks at these with a practiced eye and says, "I've seen these before, but they're not something that you would be able to normally buy. These are part of a banned neural control experiment. it went down a few years ago, and nothing more was heard from these.
Okay. What is the broader context of this experiment? Was it something that was happening as part of a legitimate research? Was it a black ops operation which was sponsored by the city but was plausibly denied, or was it being done by another group purely on their own aegis? How long ago?
Who is the dude?
I cannot tell you who was funding it, because all we were able to find out, even in the black market world, was that this was funded through shadow accounts. We don't know who it was. What we do know is that the aim was to produce a method of simple mind control, but it failed. All that these are capable of doing is knocking a person out. Certainly has its uses, but not the sort of uses that my clients would normally be interested in.
Who's the individual behind it all?
Knocks you out.
We don't know. That's what they just
No,
said.
they said fund. Who they don't know. She doesn't know who was funding it. Who was.
I
being
cannot
funded.
tell you who is responsible. I can tell you one thing though. I can tell you that Nebula 9 was fed false information.
Okay.
Nebula 9 was fed false information, and as a result, she completely ignored the threat. And since she ignored it, Administrator Corrin ignored it.
That then strongly implies that when this experiment was shut down, it was not shut down by the city, either the Nebula 9 or Corrin. It was shut down by somebody else. Do you actually know who shut it down in that context and why? Or is that information which hasn't been gathered either?
That is information which we have not got yet, but we do know that there is false input. Whoever did it exquisitely well. They covered their tracks beautifully. Even I was unable to find any evidence as to who had done it.
Okay, so 2 observations come from that. Whoever is involved in that had at least at one point abilities to mess with the
technology
city
of this
computing
place, yes.
administration. Whether or not they've been able to do that only as a once-off, or have still got that but are simply holding it in abeyance, or whether they're still doing it subtly and nobody has noticed, is something that we do not know about. That is a worry. Second thing is, this tool, this weapon, has definitely been used by that group, which is nominally a 3 alliance between those 3 groups which made up the terrorist group which attacked us at the Keepers of Time's Citadel. That is at least 2 weapons developed in 2 different areas. We could plausibly expect a 3rd one to have come from the Shield and the Sword group, but that needs to be backed up.
They would have the tech ability, quite possibly. You know who might have the tech ability? The tech priest trying to preserve the knowledge of everything at once. One of them might be behind it all.
That's a possibility too. Yeah.
Cypher looks like she's...
They're the people who knew we were coming.
Cypher looks like she's thinking about something. She says, I believe you could do something for me, and I believe we could help each other.
Very well. What is your proposal?
My proposal is, I would need, for my own reasons, I need to find out who is responsible for the false input into Nebula 9.
Agreed.
But I cannot access that because you need to be inside the cloud nexus. I have had dealings with Administrator Corrin, and I am not welcome there. You may perhaps be able to get back there. And in order for you to be willing to do that, I am willing to offer you something which I think you might find useful.
Maybe it's transparent aluminum
Or a communicator.
or a communicator.
Let's say yes.
Transparent tinfoil. It's called Glad.
So you're willing to agree to this, the terms of that she offers?
What does she want?
Well, basically, she's asking for us to go back into the administrative hub of the layer of administrative Corinth
For a little bit of freelance hacking.
for a bit of freelance hacking, yes.
It's really good about transparency for you can wear it in public and lunatic.
Indeed. Okay, so in order to, in return for this, she offers you something that's deceptively simple. Some fragments of audio recording. She thinks these might belong to, she says it's heavily encrypted, but she suggests the encryption method is not of a type used on Novaterra. She wonders if it might belong to you.
Somebody else got here before us.
And what is it that she gives us?
She has a heavily encrypted audio recording. She can't read it, but she knows what it is.
Or it's you again all along.
How old are these audio recordings?
They were recorded within the last 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
If you have any technology that is able to decrypt things,
Always pointing at him and saying it was him.
Yep,
We can probably do
no,
that.
that's
on-
I can do that
okay,
because I'm a mathematical genius.
okay.
Yeah.
You don't actually need to be a mathematical genius. You have to have a tricorder.
Yep,
Okay.
I'm a mathematical genius with a tricorder.
Well, that means because you're a mathematical genius, there's no chance of this going wrong. Okay.
Unless it's Fortnite exclusive and you don't
Okay.
have a log on.
What you hear is this. Made it out. Surface was unstable. Lomax says fall back to lower node. Comms blown. Trying again at, and then it stops. And then later another burst. Fallback complete. We've been moved again. No access to uplink. Throat of glass remains primary reference. The voice you are hearing is unmistakably Benji Mbusi.
We've gone mad and we've created the plastic aluminum empire.
Plastic aluminum empire. Why did I not think of
What
that?
else could the throat of glass be?
Throat of glass.
Oh, I thought it was
Throat of glass. Okay.
I believe this may be of value to you.
Well, it certainly
Eventually.
indicates that both of them are still alive,
Or were.
or were. Yeah.
Maybe I'm carrying the corpse of Lomax around with me while I.
Well, the first one said Lomax says fall back to lower node, not Lomax until his brave death said.
When you find us, we're going to be there with a sandcastle and a whole bunch of toy soldiers. How dare you enter the presence of the Emperor and Vice Emperor of this room?
Which one is which this week?
Thank
I
you.
can't remember. What's my name again?
Thank you for your agreement, friends. Next time, walk into this alley here, and you will not be attacked by Wraith B. I'm sorry, he was a bit more enthusiastic than I believed he should. But if you go here, you will be able to contact me again. Please go quickly to the Cloud Nexus.
Okay.
You return to the Cloud Nexus, and you go into Corin's office, where you find his body slumped over the console, neural interface scorched. Popping up from his wrist, there is the avatar of Nebula 9. She looks shocked, as much shocked as an avatar can look.
Yeah.
All over the walls of the towers, suddenly a glitchy message goes. They walk in the dark, we stand in the light. And then you hear dit 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 da 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 dit dit dit.
Aha. Same pattern.
Those
the,
dudes
the
again.
H-E-H or H-L-H?
Whatever it stands for.
The avatars
So
of
very simple.
lunatics.
What does it say? We walk in the dark or something?
They walk in the dark, we stand in the light. Dit 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 da 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 dit dit dit.
They're a bunch of Yeah, bunch of Looney Tunes.
SH, whatever that
Yes.
is.
You have been identified as a threat.
Well, yes.
We already have been.
We're stuffing up their worldview by existing, I suspect.
Always sucks when people do that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe they served the original computer the original shit that got them here.
Oh, the original AI.
You'd think they would then form a faction on their own. Somehow they are operating as some kind of cult or whatever.
Well,
you
they may.
call it.
Well, if it's the religious
Across
guys
three
and they
groups.
just found it and he started recruiting from the other group.
Yeah. I like that it's not as simplistic as there's these brotherhoods and they all do different things. And no, these guys are working across all. You know, like initially we thought, oh, it's some sort of secret alliance between these three groups. But no, I don't think that's what's going on.
No.
To be fair, version 1 of the story, that's pretty much what it was. But I thought actually we could have more fun with this. Could someone please unplug my computer?
Okay.
And so next time we will still be on episode 3.
Next time I might be conscious.
Please try and do that. Yeah, that would be good.
You need to take the dice home with you? or
No, I'll
you
leave
can
them here.
Leave it here, yeah.
Because last time I took them home, that was real pain. So, but I will put them in my dice bags.
In the
I
special
need
place.
pieces of paper, whatever you want to say.
Who owns? They're my
They're your
fate.
fate points. Don't
Who owns-
lose them. That's
who owns-
my fate
I
point.
got my favourite.
They're my favourites. Mine.
Okay.
Alright, so
I'm
long as we know
profoundly
what's going on.
unimpressed by this. Leaders debate live. PM says he has no reason not to trust Trump. As Dutton says, I don't know the president.
Well, before he said, I don't know about climate change, I'm not a scientist. It's like, dude, you should know something about it. You're the leader of the fucking...
It does.
I think I'm going to have a cranky attack over Albanese saying that sort of thing.
It does strike me that everybody's trying to hit head for cover.
Great, somebody was brave.
Yes.
Don't get too cranky at Albanese because he's a lot more harmless than alternatives. And
I agree with you.
There's a wave of getting frustrated. I'm looking, say, at Biden and Kamala. There's a wave of getting frustrated, the inadequacy of the people on our side, and actually which plays into the agenda of the people on the other side.
Oh, yeah. No, I do understand the principles of voting strategically. I believe I shall need to write a strongly worded letter.